Okay, so it's time to get going. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, in the next exactly 2 minutes. 2 minutes we will start day 3 and the final day of the Tata Steel Trailblazers Conclave. 2 incredible days. If you just check coverage, you will know. Multiple national headlines, every session packed to capacity, the audience getting enthralled by our speakers. It's time to sort of celebrate one final day, and it's International Women's Day. So we will have multiple sessions on empowerment. We will have multiple sessions speaking on women's issues. Of course, there is loads of cricket with Sourav Ganguly headlining today. Trisha, you have the music ready? You have it ready? Okay, I will ask in a minute. All the speakers in? Okay, let's start. So here goes day 3, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again for coming in. I know it's been 2 intense days, so yeah, it takes time. It takes time to digest, but welcome. Welcome to the first session of day 3. But before I start the first session, gives me a lot of pleasure and joy to once again launch the music, which we've multiple times played already as part of our press conference and on our social media platforms, but here at the conclave, formally. This has been specially curated by Pandit Bikram Ghosh for Trailblazers. So this is our music for you. Do use it. It will be available on all our platforms. Download it, use it, make your caller tune. This is what will signify to you that Trailblazers is once again back. Trisha, can I have the music, please? I want it one more time, but before you play it one more time, what does this signify? So there is drama, there is climax, it reaches a crescendo, it is all about sadhana. A sports person does sadhana to reach where he or she gets to, and in music it is the same for Pandit Bikram Ghosh. So it's a coming together, a harmony, a synergy, a coming together of sport and music, ladies and gentlemen. That's Trailblazers music for you. Coming to the first session of the day, how is India Inc. enabling a healthier India? Tokyo 2021, India had lost an intense semi-final, and it was COVID time, so you could not go and congratulate or hug. You could not go and say words because you had to keep a distance of 6 feet. And there she comes, captain of the Indian team, and there was a 6 feet distance between the two of us. Rani looks at me, I look at her, and we know each other for a good 15 odd years. Both of us are adults, captain of India, senior journalist. We look at each other and both of us start crying. It was just like that. Heartbreak, she breaks down, so do I. None of us could hold our tears. She goes in, sends her signed jersey to me. And then when we chat and I said, listen, she says, this is hard to digest. And then I said, you know what? You might not have won a medal, but what you have won 1 billion hearts and given the game credibility. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest player to play hockey for India as far as women's hockey is concerned. Put your hands together for Rani. You know, if you take the Paris Olympics, if you take the Paris Olympics, multiple medals from that one sport. We keep criticizing federations. We keep saying federations don't do the job. But this is one federation, if you actually take a look, has produced multiple medals already. And I can say we can get 5 or more come the Los Angeles Olympics and 10 plus at the Asian Games. The man leading it, heralding this revolution. Put your hands together for my friend Kalikesh Singhdeo, President of the National Rifle Association of India. Towards a healthier India, obviously extremely important to discuss and debate these issues, founder of Activo Labs, someone who has been an active supporter of Rev Sports from its inception. Put your hands together for Gaurav Mukherjee. Milan, delighted to have you here, leading Infinity Business Partners. Milan, may I please have you on stage? Vicky, you and I have spoken multiple times over the last couple of days. Thank you for your support. Please, can I have you on stage? And to our two moderators for this panel, Prantik Mazumdar and Gargi Raut, over to you both. We need one more, right?
A very good morning to you all. Thank you so much for joining us. And at the outset, let me wish all of you a very happy International Women's Day. To all the women and to all the men allies. In fact, this year's theme of IWD is allyship. And, you know, this couldn't have been a better start to the day, because this conclave, as you would have heard Boria, speak about this very often, is not just about sports and the athletes, but also about all of us. All of us in India as fans, as citizens, because the idea is to sort of get everyone together to spark debate, spark a conversation about a healthier India. And I am extremely delighted to have a very established panel with me here today, people from different walks of life. Boria obviously did a very lovely introduction, and I'm going to explore the element of how do we build a healthier India. And we'll explore this from an athlete's perspective, a corporate's perspective, a startup perspective. And let me get the ball rolling. Gaurav, the question's for you. You've been building a very, very interesting digital health startup where the applicability is not just at the athlete level, at the consumer level, but at a larger population level. And I think over the last few years, the term longevity is obviously in vogue. We're talking about not just longer lifespans, but longer or healthier lifespans, right? I want to get your peek on what is the startup world, what are companies like Activo Labs doing to make sure that we Indians can have not just a longer life, but a longer, healthier life. Gaurav, over to you.
Thanks, Prantik. I think the macro problem statement that we are trying to address is that of longevity itself, right? So startups, and especially tech startups, the purpose of a tech startup is to actually pick up a very wicked problem and try to solve it leveraging on technology. But the wicked problem that's staring at us is that of longevity. Now, prima facie, it sounds fantastic that as a species we are living longer. But the challenge is that we are living longer, those extra years we live with a disease, right? And that impacts everyone in the ecosystem itself. We spoke about the 100-year life yesterday at the panel about wealth and athlete wealth, and how do you live for 100 years and how do you pay to live for those 100 years. Now imagine if you're living till 100, someone born right now, somebody born right now today in the UK is expected to live to 120 years, right? If you're going to live 120 years, of course, how are you going to finance that? And then more importantly, what are the quality of life that you're going to have till 120? Now at Activo, we looked at what are the ways that you can increase your health span as opposed to lifespan. Simple concept, if you live till 90, your lifespan is 90 years old. But if you live till 60 without a chronic disease, your health span is 60 years old and your disease span is 30 years old, which means that you will spend the last 30 years of your life living with a disease. Now the science behind it, and there's a lot of science, a lot of population health studies been done across the world. Unfortunately, not in India yet, but in the US, in UK, in China, in Japan, in Australia, across the world, there are longitudinal studies which shows one clear thing, that regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of your socioeconomic background, regardless of genetic endowment, lifestyle is a very, very strong indicator of an early onset of chronic disease. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of the science of it. We can all Google it out. But I'm going to tell you in terms of how Activo Labs came about and what really prompted that. 2016, I was at a conference in Chennai. The keynote speaker was Dr. Devi Shetty from Narayana Hospital. And to an entire room full of surgeons and me, his keynote was about chronic disease and the plague of chronic diseases in India. According to his research, he said by 2030, half of India's GDP would go towards the management of chronic diseases. And the half of India's GDP looked like not a good business, it looked like an industry by itself, right? So something had to be done. Now, in terms of lifestyle, what can be done is very simple. Exercise is the best thing you can do to your body after probably quitting smoking and looking into not taking any kind of drugs or abusing your body with substances. Sleep. Lack of sleep is probably the weapon of mass destruction right now. 100 years back, we all used to go to sleep when the sun went down and we used to wake up with the sun. Electricity and Netflix has changed all that. And then the more growing consensus among experts is around mental health, sitting time, and of course, nutrition itself. So I'm going to end with what's the real goal of Activo Labs and what we're trying to do. Of course, we are leveraging technology, taking in real-time data, working with enterprise partners around the world. But the objective of Activo, our goal is to increase health span and such that when you are going into the wee years of your life, you go that with quality. One moment in this journey at Activo Labs really changed my life was I was in Australia in Sydney, the early years of Activo, with my co-founder, the late and the great Professor David Lai, whom you have met, right? So I was with David, and I was with him at a golf course in Sydney with his neighbor. He was 96 years old, and he had filed a case against the local metropolitan authority and the local government because his license was revoked, his driving license was revoked. He went and said, I'm completely fit, I'm 96 years old, right? I need my driving license because I need to drive to the golf course every day and I play golf every day. If you don't do that, I will die very quickly. We went and I just recently picked up the sport. That man was shooting the ball quite far and quite distance, right? And he spoke to me, there's a clear correlation between every day he plays golf, his mental health and his state. And I was like, sir, that's fantastic and this is incredible. How are you going to keep on going like that? And he said, son, I have only one dream. I was like, what's that? You know how I want to go out? I was like, how? When I'm 110, I want to be shot by my jealous lover. And that's the way I want to end my life. And I was like, that is some aspiration to be through. And hence Activo Labs started. So that's our purpose. That's what we're doing. And we're leveraging technology. That's what I understand. And a healthier India means exercise, sports. That's the way to go into the wee years of our life.
Thanks for waking us up with that wonderful anecdote. I think that should inspire a lot of us, especially when you guys go out for lunch, to bear that in mind. But, talking about healthier India, we can't get there without corporate support. I think throughout the conclave, we've been talking about the importance of anything that we do in sports, in health. The importance or the engagement of corporate India is important. Milan, you've had extensive experience when it comes to working in corporates, even from an insurance lens. Tell us, what is corporate India doing or not doing? What does it need to do to enable employees, whether from a welfare engagement or to get the message across? Because at one end in India, we keep seeing headlines of 70, 90-hour work weeks, and that can't be healthy. But I'm sure there are positive use cases of corporate India sort of not just funding, but also enabling employees to, the vision that Gaurav spoke about. Your thoughts?
Yeah, morning everyone. I think 70, 80 hour, sort of work weeks is some very controversial subject, so I won't go down that path right now. But largely, I think, Prantik, I want to start out, probably zoom out from here to talk about, today, I believe India is a land of opportunity. I think the next couple of decades are going to be the decades for India. The economic growth rate, GDP growth rate is 8%. If 50% of that's going to go into sort of just funding healthcare, I think that's a serious problem to look at and a mega problem as well. But all the prospects in India are looking super positive. And in that context, if you start thinking about, what could be the stumbling blocks that can come in the way, health and healthcare concerns can be a big one. So all the way from accessibility to actually sort of, utilizing for the right reasons, supporting it through government initiatives, funding such kind of initiatives. All of these things have a great opportunity, but also a significant limitation. And given all of these things, we believe that, at least from whatever conversation we have with CEOs and of corporates as well as with insurance companies, the clear conversation is that a healthier India will lead to higher productivity, great progress, lesser burden on the entire healthcare ecosystem and so on and so forth. So I'm sure we are a power of multiples, so the economy the healthcare economy will be fairly significant. Having said that, I think, sports, consciousness, better lifestyle and living can mean a lot. Coming to the point about, what are corporates and insurers doing in that space? So I think today corporates are doing enough and more to give, there are two ways to look at it. One is, of course, their own employees and the efforts they make to make their employees to be a lot more productive. And a large part of that is coming through insurance-led schemes and so on and so forth, right? So that's one part of it, and I think there's a fair amount of good work happening. Insurance brokers, the entire industry has kind of evolved over there. Today, if you think about the entire health insurance premium, it's almost reached about $14 billion and likely to grow at about 15%. Also sort of to cope up with medical inflation, which is almost running at 18%. So, if anyone in this room does not have medical insurance, sincere advice, first and foremost, just get an insurance done. You will need it irrespective of what age you are at. So, I think corporates are doing their bit to kind of get access to their employees on medical health, medical care, and so on and so forth. A lot of them also doing it from a CSR perspective. So, ICICI Bank, for example, has allocated almost 1,000 crores of funds for investing into cancer and any of those kind of issues. So people are picking themes, and corporates are doing their bit in that area. The other is the government side of it. I think the government's doing fair amount of work in that space. There used to be a scheme called RSBY, Rashtriya Swasth Bima Yojana, which came in much earlier. Now it's, of course, now we have the Ayushman Bharat scheme. But the earlier scheme, for example, think about it, I'm talking about almost 10 years or 15 years back. At that point in time, they built an entire back-end digital ecosystem to drive, it's similar like how we did for COVID, right? They built a whole digital ecosystem to, in a way, empanel and get people on board to have access to medical care, right? To an extent, just one anecdote is that, when I was in the insurance world, we were managing a few states, Bihar and Arunachal Pradesh. To an extent that the government was so focused on that scheme that in Arunachal Pradesh, where the population density is so scarce and it probably is far spread out, we were forced to go to even the remotest of places in Tawang and all of that to ensure that there is fair amount of enrollment that happens. So the government was very focused, very serious to drive what they call as insurance for all. Today, the recent government, of course, is a big theme, insurance for all as an initiative, and launched multiple initiatives in that space. The pitfalls in this area is multiple folds, right? So while all of this is happening, there is support being created. First and foremost, there's a big concern that's talking around frauds. The reason I'm saying some of these things, pitfalls, are important to appreciate and understand is that can significantly limit the amount of capacities and funding that's going to go in that space, right? So frauds is something that's happening on the consumer level, exploitation by caregivers, and just medical inflation per se. How do you keep coping up with price and consumers for them to get accessibility and affordability? So that's some of the bigger concerns that's coming through. So insurance cost is increasing significantly, and by virtue of that, corporates, governments, while they're doing all of these things, consumers today, unfortunately, have not necessarily been very, very, I would say, appreciative of what these benefits come in. Even today, for example, insurance is sub 1% of GDP. In more progressive economies, it's 4 to 5%. Insurance is called to be the infrastructure industry of the world because it supports economic progress and growth. But despite that, we've not been able to do that. Very interesting thing, when you had COVID, at that point in time, the need for medical insurance shot up. People are going and looking for medical insurances for obvious reasons. As soon as the COVID sort of more or less vanished, immediately persistency dropped. So again, consumer mindset that they see insurance to be a cost and hence not deeply involved or invested in it. So I'm going to stop over here, but this is what about the current landscape is. I think the real opportunity, and what Gaurav mentioned, just to segue into what tech companies like these are doing, I think the real opportunity lies in the preventive side. We don't want consumers to hit the iceberg. Ideal is if you can prevent them from hitting the iceberg, and living a healthier life is the way forward. But we'll talk about that a bit later.
No, thanks, Milan. That's a lot of food for thought, and we'll deep dive into the tech side. But Gargi, let's explore this from the sports angle. Over to you.
Rani, you have an incredible journey, and there are million other athletes like you who जो बहुत humble beginning से आ रहे हैं, and of course with financial limitations, they struggle with nutrition. how can, as an athlete, tell us your perspective when it comes to nutrition, longevity, physical longevity for an athlete in his or her career? How can corporates and associations support them?
Thank you so much. First of all, happy Women's Day to all the beautiful women in this room. I think every day is a Women's Day if we treat them well, if we respect them and we encourage them to achieve their dreams. So we can see every day a Women's Day. Yeah, I think athletes के perspective से yes, as a humans हम सब के लिए health सबसे number one priority है, but being an athlete, I think your health is everything, क्योंकि आपका sport जो है, आपकी performance, everything जो आपकी health पे dependent रहता है, because if you are sick, you are injured, you are not feeling 100% good, you can't perform. आप परफॉर्म नहीं करोगे, यू कांट प्ले. सो आई थिंक आवर रियल वेल्थ इज़ हेल्थ फॉर एथलीट्स, आई कैन से. जो सब कुछ डिपेंड हमारी हेल्थ पे ही रहता है. एंड यू कैन आस्क एनी एथलीट कि सबसे डिफ़िकल्ट टाइम उनकी लाइफ में कब होता है. दे विल नॉट से कि जब वो हार जाते हैं, बट दे विल डेफिनेटली से कि जब उनको कोई इंजरी आ जाती है और दे आर सिक, बिकॉज दैट्स अ टफेस्ट टाइम किसी भी एथलीट के लिए ना, क्योंकि दे फील हेल्पलेस, क्योंकि दे नो उनके पास स्किल है, वो कर सकते हैं, बट देयर बॉडी इज़ नॉट सपोर्टिंग दैम. इफ़ योर बॉडी इज़ नॉट सपोर्टिंग दैम, supporting us, then definitely our mind is also not supporting us. So it's a co-related body and mind thing. Yes, because I come from a very humble background, जहाँ पे I come because you all know कि मैं जहाँ से आती हूँ, मेरे father he was a cart puller. एंड मैंने ऐसा भी टाइम देखा है अपनी लाइफ में ना, चाइल्डहुड में, लाइक जहाँ पे एक टाइम खाना मिलता था तो हमें लगता था सेकंड टाइम खाना मिलेगा या नहीं मिलेगा. सो आई कम फ्रॉम डैट बैकग्राउंड, सो आई नो कि एक फूड की क्या इंपॉर्टेंस होती है. समटाइम्स बीइंग अ चाइल्ड ना, यू डोंट नो कि हेल्दी क्या चीज़ है, बट यू जस्ट नीड फूड. सो मैंने वैसा टाइम देखा है. सो नाउ आई नो द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ फूड ऑल्सो, आई नो द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ हेल्थ ऑल्सो. As both these gentlemen spoke about sleep, about food, about nutrition, everything, and I totally agree कि athlete के लिए भी ना बचपन में हमें जो मिलता था हम खा लेते थे, जो भी सामने आया खा लिया, क्योंकि we just need food, we don't need healthy food, we just need food, क्योंकि आपके पास कोई ऑप्शन, कोई चॉइस नहीं होता. मेरे पास नहीं था, एटलीस्ट आजकल की जनरेशन के पास बहुत चॉइसेस हैं शायद, इसलिए वो लोग चूज़ करना भी मुश्किल है उनके लिए ना. एंड दे चूज़ बैड. आपके जब ज़्यादा ऑप्शंस होते हैं, यू ऑलवेज चूज़ बैड. व्हेन यू हैव अ लिमिटेड ऑप्शंस, यू ऑलवेज थिंक फॉर द बेस्ट कि उसमें से क्या बेस्ट पिक कर सकते हैं. बट यस, लेकिन धीरे धीरे जब हम एक प्रोफेशनल एथलीट की जर्नी शुरू की, देन वी स्टार्टेड कि अच्छा न्यूट्रिशन इतना इंपॉर्टेंट होता है क्या, बिकॉज वी ऑलवेज थिंक कि ट्रेनिंग बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, जितना ज़्यादा ट्रेनिंग करेंगे ना हमारा परफॉर्मेंस उतना अच्छा आएगा. कितना भी ट्रेनिंग कर लो, कुछ भी खा लो तो परफॉर्मेंस अच्छा आएगा. लेकिन धीरे धीरे हमने ये सीखा कि अगर आप 100% ट्रेनिंग कर रहे हो एवरी सिंगल सेशन में ना, एंड यू आर नॉट ईटिंग वेल, आपका सारा ट्रेनिंग इट्स लाइक यू आर पुटिंग इन अ बिन, सो प्रोफेशनल एथलीट्स के लिए आई स्टिल रिमेंबर जब इंडियन टीम में ना हमारे ट्रेनर्स ने हमारे एथलीट्स को बोला, स्पेशली आई कम फ्रॉम हरियाणा जहाँ पे लोगों को मीठा इतना पसंद होता है, सो जब उनको पहली बार बोला कि आपको रात को दूध में शुगर डाल के नहीं पीनी है, दिस इज़ नॉट गुड. हम आपको इतना ट्रेन कराते हैं कि आपका फैट परसेंटेज कम रहे, ताकि आपके रिफ्लेक्सेस अच्छे रहें, आप ग्राउंड में एजाइल रहे. एंड दे ऑल वर लाइक लुकिंग लाइक दिस कि ऐसा तो नहीं हो सकता, मतलब ना कि हम दूध फीका पिए ना. सो इट्स जस्ट अ स्मॉल एग्जाम्पल, बट देन स्लोली इट वॉज डिफ़िकल्ट फॉर एथलीट्स ऑल्सो ना कि टू अंडरस्टैंड कि अच्छा इसकी इतनी इंपॉर्टेंस है. बट वेन दे स्टार्टेड फीलिंग लाइट बॉडी से ना, दे स्टार्टेड रनिंग सो फास्ट ऑन द फील्ड, देन दे आर लाइक या आई थिंक कुछ तो सही हो रहा है. एंड दे it's all about, sometimes it's all about education, awareness. I think बच्चों को हम जैसा एजुकेट करेंगे, अवेयर करेंगे, एंड उससे भी ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है कैन वी बी द रोल मॉडल फॉर देम. बच्चे देखने से ज़्यादा सीखते हैं रेदर देन उनको बताने से या सिखाने से ना. अगर हम बच्चों को बोलेंगे ना कि आपको कोक नहीं पीना, सो वो नहीं सुनेंगे, बट अगर हम घर में वैसा माहौल बनाएंगे ना कि हमारे घर में कोक आ ही नहीं रही है, सो दे विल गेट यूज टू इट कि हम उस चीज़ के यूज टू ही नहीं है, हम खुद पी रहे हैं, बच्चों को बोल रहे हैं, देन आजकल की जनरेशन तो दे डोंट इवन थिंक, दे विल डेफिनेटली से कि आप भी तो पीते हो, आप भी तो खाते हो. सेम अगेन फॉर द फोन्स. अभी जो नेटफ्लिक्स की बात की ना, अगर हम खुद टाइम से सो रहे हैं देन बच्चे डेफिनेटली टाइम से सोएंगे. अगर खुद हम बच्चों को सुला रहे हैं लेकिन खुद नेटफ्लिक्स देख रहे हैं, इंस्टाग्राम स्क्रॉल कर रहे हैं, then I always believe in lead by examples in whichever role we all are, you know, as a mother, father, siblings, teachers or friends. We should always lead a life, you know, from the front, lead by examples always. Yes, health is real wealth and I totally believe in it. For me also, my health is number one priority because if I don't sleep well, sometimes people say to me, because मैं 9-9:30 बजे तक सो जाती हूँ बिकॉज मुझे मिनिमम 8 आवर्स की स्लीप चाहिए नेक्स्ट डे परफॉर्म करने के लिए. एंड स्टिल यू नो समटाइम्स पीपल यूज टू से कितना बोरिंग लाइफ है ना कि 9:30 बजे सो जाती है. एंड आई लाइक फॉर यू मे बी इट्स बोरिंग, फॉर मी इट्स नॉट, बिकॉज नेक्स्ट डे आई फील मोर एनर्जेटिक, यू नो, आई फील मोर पॉजिटिव बिकॉज आई रेस्टेड वेल, आई स्लेप्ट वेल. सो आई थिंक या you all should take care of your health. You know, your health is your real wealth.
रानी, एक छोटा सा फॉलो अप वो क्वेश्चन पे, जैसे कैंप्स चल रहे हैं, एथलीट्स को वहाँ न्यूट्रिशन एसोसिएशन ध्यान रख लेती है न्यूट्रिशन का, लेकिन जब कैंप से बाहर जा रहा है एथलीट, अगर रिमोट विलेजेस से आ रहे हैं एथलीट्स, उस टाइम पे कैसे सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं एसोसिएशन?
आई थिंक इट्स अ गुड क्वेश्चन बिकॉज हमारे साथ भी ऐसा ही होता है. जब आप एक नेशनल प्रोग्राम में रहते हो वहाँ पे सब चीज़ों की टेकन केयर होती है कि आपको कितना प्रोटीन लेना, प्रोटीन में क्या क्या ऑप्शंस है आपके पास ना. लेकिन जो एथलीट्स एक हम्बल बैकग्राउंड से जाते हैं वो कैंप्स के बाद उनको वहीं वापस आना है घर पे ना. और हम सब ऐसे ही बैकग्राउंड से आते हैं जहाँ पे इट्स नॉट कि एक मील में 3 सब्जियाँ बन रही हैं. इट्स लाइक कि ठीक है एक सब्जी या दाल बनेगी उसके साथ ही आपको खाना है, बिकॉज देर आर 7-8 फैमिली मेम्बर्स जहाँ पे होते हैं, सबकी अलग अलग डिमांड्स पूरी नहीं हो सकती, घर में कमाने वाला एक ही बंदा है. So it's difficult, yeah, and it's a reality of rural areas because I come from that area, and in my family still it's the same, like you know, because my mother father still believe कि एक चीज़ खानी चाहिए लेकिन हेल्दी खानी चाहिए, you know, rather than कि आप 10 चीज़ें खा रहे हो. आई थिंक उसमें हमारी जो एसोसिएशंस है या और कॉर्पोरेट सिस्टम जो है वो एथलीट्स को और ज़्यादा न्यूट्रिशन पार्ट में हेल्प कर सकते हैं कि जब वो घर जाते हैं ना, जैसे हम स्पोर्ट्स के लिए टैलेंट आइडेंटिफिकेशन करते हैं ना, सो कैन वी पिक दोज एथलीट्स कि ये किस एरिया से आते हैं, एंड व्हेन दे गो होम ना, सो कैन वी टेक केयर ऑफ देयर न्यूट्रिशन, यू नो, simple things, you know, can we provide them if they eat eggs, you know, ठीक है वो जब जितने टाइम के लिए घर आने, it's just a small things but it's make a huge difference उनकी लाइफ में ना न्यूट्रिशन पार्ट से ना. एंड समटाइम्स प्लेयर्स के लिए ना इट्स अ रियल स्ट्रगल एंड प्रेशर यू कैन से कि उनको यही लगता है कि कैंप्स में तो ठीक है सब कुछ सही हो रहा है, घर जाएंगे हमारा अगर न्यूट्रिशन सही नहीं होगा, अगेन जो आप परफॉर्मेंस यहाँ लेके आते हो देन इट्स गो बैक टू द ज़ीरो, देन यू स्टार्ट अगेन फ्रॉम द ज़ीरो. बट या आई थिंक न्यूट्रिशन पार्ट में बहुत सारा काम अभी भी हो सकता है रूरल एरिया में ना, एंड वेयर आवर कॉर्पोरेट्स कैन ब्रिंग इन टू हेल्प दोज किड्स. मेडल आने के बाद तो सब हेल्प करते हैं, सबको पता और नीरज चोपड़ा कौन है, लेकिन आई थिंक 5-6 साल पहले किसी को नहीं पता था नीरज चोपड़ा कौन है. सो वी नो हम सबको वो सपोर्ट चाहिए एथलीट्स को ना, कि जो बचपन में जैसे मैंने बोला ना, मेरे जैसे बहुत एथलीट होंगे जिनको शायद एक टाइम खाना खाने के बाद ये लगता होगा सेकंड टाइम पता नहीं मेरे पापा कहाँ से खाना कमा के लाएंगे. सो कैन वी हेल्प दोज एथलीट्स, बट वी नीड टू आइडेंटिफाई, उसके लिए थोड़ा सा काम करना पड़ेगा, थोड़ी मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी रूरल एरियाज़ में जाके.
Very good answer. I'll go over to Kalikesh now. We're truly on the cusp of a revolution when it comes to shooting. Now, how is NRAI, you know, taking it forward? What is your vision? I want to know that.
Good morning, everybody. I think we've been in this evolution of a revolution in sports for some time. You know, I remember my days when I used to play sports. I was a national junior champion for shooting, for trap. I played national levels in basketball, played a Ranji level in cricket. But I had to give it up after college because it was shooting at that time, the discipline I chose was an expensive discipline. I mean, I remember my father telling me when I finished my college in Delhi that every time you fire a shot, you waste $50, you know, and you fire 200 shots a day. I'm talking about, I'm significantly older than a lot of you guys here. So this is way back. And I literally gave it up at that point of time. I was at the Asian Games level at that point of time, and I got into banking and got a job and stuff like that. What's dramatically changed since then is that you have a lot of support now coming in for, as Rani said very beautifully, the high performance athletes, the athletes who achieve. You know, you've got the OJQs, the JSWs, the Reliances, you've got platforms like RevSport who highlight their achievements. You've got, at least from the perspective of shooting, I can tell you, I have, when I hold a camp at a senior level, I have about 100 shooters with 6 disciplines. And we, out of the 100 shooters, all of them are supported in some way or the other. That's a huge improvement from back at my time when only 1 or 2 shooters were being supported by either the government or the corporate world. When you actually get down to the science behind it, that's evolved completely also. From the time that I used to shoot where you shot and you went back home, basically, and you had one guy telling you what you did right or wrong at the end of the day, now technology is in. The reason for our success in the recent Paris Olympics, and when I say success, I don't just mean the 3 medals that we got. I also mean the 3 number 4 positions we got. We missed by 1 shot. I mean the 22 athletes we managed to send to Paris. That's the largest contingent of shooting ever, largest contingent for India in any sport. That means you go and win 22 quotas. And you are, amongst the last 2 years of world championships, quota competitions, etc. So you've had a sustained excellence in performance in shooting. The technology behind it was quite impressive even for me. We had, when we were monitoring our athletes, we monitored, of course, their nutrition, their fitness level, their strength training. We even monitored the heartbeats. We have a technology that monitored the amount of time they took to raise their weapon, let's say in pistol or air rifle, the amount of time they took to the breathing cycle while they were aiming, the amount of time they took to squeeze the trigger, the amount of time they took to release the trigger. And we monitored it over thousands and thousands of shots so we could actually help the athlete perfect their delivery. And then, for the last 3 months, we simulated the Paris Olympic finals. We bought the same ranges, we got the same crowds in, and we had the final simulations going on every day for every athlete. And that's the kind of effort and support and technology and just resources you require now to excel in sports globally. And I'm very happy that you guys are doing this, because this is a great platform for us to talk about it. This comes from corporates. This comes from state governments. Orissa has done a great job, as Rani will tell you, about hockey. At a time when hockey was at its lowest, I come from Orissa, I'm a politician from Orissa, and that's my day job. But at the time when hockey was at its lowest in 2008 or 10, I think, the Orissa government and Naveen Patnaik at that point of time just said, look, we'll take it over. So in our budget in the state government, they allocated, I think, 10 crores at that time to just take over the entire training of the hockey teams, both women and men. Of course, at this point in time, it's 150 crores, which is nothing for a state government. They host the World Cup, they host the Indian team, they have a beautiful resource center, high performance center, they've taken it into various cities. Even my constituency has a hockey AstroTurf, people play, So the point I'm trying to make is, apart from India Inc., you have 30 states. If one state picks up one sport, you're looking at 70, 80 medals probables coming up in the next Olympics. It's a very simple philosophy. Now, because of our success in shooting, we've got a lot of interest from various states. We're setting up 5 high-performance centers across the country, you have a junior high-performance center, etc., etc. But what is still the missing gap, in my opinion, for any sport to evolve and to reach the pinnacle of the pyramid, you need a very strong base. Now, apart from cricket and maybe football in Bengal and around here, the base for many sports is still lacking. Shooting has a large base. You know, because of shooting, they get jobs in the police and the army. That encourages a lot of athletes from Haryana, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan to apply. And we have a national, we have to stretch it for 2 months over 2 or 3 venues, because we have almost 15,000 people who are shooting at the national level, you know, going through the district, zonals, states, etc. But to really disseminate it down to the base of the pyramid, there is very little support apart from the government, Khelo India programs, etc., etc. I think that's one piece of the puzzle we are missing. The other thing that we sort of should be looking at is to ensure that we have very vibrant, relevant, and sustainable domestic competitions. You know, we are starting a shooting league. It was announced yesterday. And that's one platform where we can get 100 or 200 kids to start shooting and getting paid for it. As Rani was telling you, and you know, it's a story which is true across many sports and many athletes. A lot of our athletes come from humble beginnings. And we have to ensure that we provide them sufficient opportunities so that even when they are not a Manu Bhakar, but they are somebody who could possibly become one, they need to have a platform where they could play and they can earn and they can make it sustainable for themselves. Or you'll be my case, when my father tells you that, look, you're wasting too much money, get a job and earn your money. So I think that's really where we, apart from the high performance side, we need to focus on.
Fantastic, Sab, and congratulations to all the great things that India has been doing at the shooting level. Vicky, last question for you. You're running a startup and you're sort of doing something very interesting on lower limb care, something very niche and specialist. Could you sort of tell us, again, from a larger population perspective, aging, biomarkers, and what can companies like you all do for the country as well as for athletes?
Sure, Prantik. Yeah, good morning, everyone, and thanks for giving me this opportunity to present, what we do at Varco. So typically, the leg embodies a powerful juxtaposition, right? So it is, it houses a lot of delicate joints, nerves, veins. This all dovetails to one important thing, which is muscle. And as we age, the muscle degeneration starts. Now there is medicine for diabetes, there's medicine for weight loss, but why isn't there any muscle-centric medicine? So what we're doing at Varco is typically, helping to repair these muscles with our digital care pathways. What we found out that 80% of the money spent today is to do with only symptom relief. They really don't focus on the root cause, right? And like you rightly said, we age from our legs. So we're concentrating a lot on really kind of, making these consumers, patients, discover us at a very early stage. Now this is done through a low friction technology, built on neural network technology where you can self-diagnose yourself. Now for the heavy lifters, we also have blood biomarkers. Interesting to kind of see that a lot of these Indian population are already aware of it, but we are using very innovative blood biomarkers, which is not being used today by any of the labs. So a proprietary technology to ours. And we've been able to really kind of diagnose it at an early stage and also prevent, chronic condition. So net, what we feel is that, if we can treat the patients early, we can obviously kind of not let them head for a chronic condition, right? Today, in the athletes, I was just reading a case study, 50 to 60% of the injury happens in the lower limb, right? That is ACL tears, sprains, muscle damage, so on and so forth. So what's really happening there? I mean, is there a way of diagnosing it at an early stage? Is there a way of diagnosing muscle head at the early stage? There is no diagnosis. The only diagnosis methods are static images, right? Which is X-ray or MRI report. So at Varco, with our Predict platform, we are being able to really grade the condition, grade the muscle age. So it's typically chronological versus your biological age of your muscle, your nerves, your joints, and also give you actionable insights and, even to a large extent, help you prevent for any kind of degenerative disorders. Yeah, so for the interest of time, I'll just keep it short, but that's what we're doing, and thanks for giving us the opportunity to present.
Thanks, Vicky. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of this panel, I think the message is loud and clear that the onus is very much on us. Research, science and technology, as Gaurav and Milan spoke about, that's always progressing. We heard from the sporting legends, the federations, there's been so much progress at the high performance athlete level. But as Vicky, Gaurav and Milan said, the idea is preventive healthcare. We need to ensure that India, all of us, are taking the right action from a preventive perspective and with a lens of living not just a longer life, but a healthier life. Because I think those staggering figures you shared, Milan, that if that huge percentage of our GDP, for 5 trillion potential GDP nation goes into healthcare management and insurance, that is scary. And of course, all of us obviously want to live not just a longer life, but a healthier life. So the onus is on us. Hopefully all of us can take the beautiful message that Rani ji shared, that the simple adage that health is wealth. So on that note, I wish all of you again a very happy International Women's Day, and I want to thank all of you on the panel as well as Gargi for sort of joining me here. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Excellent start to the day, and all I will say is, before I call Meenu to come and felicitate the panel, if there are more federation presidents like Kalikesh, and I was listening to what he had done ahead of the Paris Olympics, trust me, that double digit is just round the corner. So Kalikesh Singh, they were more like you. And Rani, I've never seen anyone, I mean, I keep talking about adversity to triumph. You symbolize that for me. Absolute role model. You're 20 years younger, but I have to say this, you're an absolute gem and an inspiration to me. More like Gaurav, more like Vicky, more like Milan. Trust me, that harmony between corporate India and sport, and we'll get there. Meenu Agarwal, founder of Food and Wellness, one of our supporters, a very close friend of mine, to come up on stage and felicitate the panel. Can we please have all of you step forward for a photo op, please? Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. We move on to the next panel. And this is a plenary panel of the day. International Women's Day, celebrating empowerment. Rani stays on, and as I've already told you, it is not possible to do a women's panel with sport if you don't have Rani on stage, standing for empowerment and her story. If you just hear her story, you will know everything is possible, and you can then feel that urge to make a difference. Welcoming to join Rani on stage, two very, very special athletes. One, a very close friend of mine. I've seen her grow from being an athlete to a champion, and a world champion at that. And after Paris, that dream of LA is still alive. One of the best that India has had, one of the best that I've seen compete. Put your hands together for world champion Nikhat Zareen. If you thought that shooting was only an Olympic success, you were mistaken, because we had multiple medals at the Paralympics, and putting it for India, making that tricolour go up. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Rubina Francis. At at every level he has empowered, whether it's his thousands and thousands of employees and colleagues and supporting people like us when we started out. He stands for a symbol of empowerment and is a sports fanatic. Put your hands together for Sagar Daryani. And by the way, Sagar is the founder of Wow Momo, so you know why I said what I said. To another very close friend of ours, she's supported us. Put your hands together for Dr. Deepthi Kamath. And this is a plenary panel celebrating empowerment to be moderated by Dr. Sharmishta Gupta. Over to you.
It's okay, I'll keep my thing. Oh, all right. If you can take it if you want. Good morning, everyone. This is a very special panel. This is the empowerment panel. Empowerment with a focus on women's empowerment, because today is International Women's Day. And I am delighted and honored to have some of our top athletes here with me. Sagar, who has been a supporter of Rev Sports and a dear friend, and Deepthi, of course, who is a dear friend. So welcome all of you to this panel. Again, this is International Women's Day. Let me wish each and every woman here in the room a very happy Women's Day, and let us start this panel. So I will start by going back to a moment in 2022. It was the CWG, the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, and it was my first coverage of a mega event. Nikhat Zareen was playing the gold medal match, and we had very good seats just near the ring, and I had the privilege of watching that match with who but Vinesh Phogat by our side. Vinesh was sitting there, and as the match started, we all had our hands in our mouth because Nikhat was playing and she was playing for a gold. And I was watching Vinesh cheer Nikhat, and that felt like a moment of empowerment for me. Vinesh was cheering Nikhat. Nikhat was fighting in the ring, and when she finally won that gold medal bout, Boria and Vinesh ran over to the side of the ring, and the cameras caught the athletes hugging each other. That was a moment of empowerment. Nikhat Zareen, you have empowered hundreds and hundreds of Indian women, not only through your wins, but through your journey as an athlete. And Nikhat, it often happens that when we are you are so into your sport, sometimes perhaps you don't realize what a figure of empowerment you've become. Aapko kab aisa feel hua, when people approach you, when they talk to you, that you feel, okay, I am becoming a figure of empowerment. Aapko kab aisa moment realize ho, okay, yes, I'm also becoming a figure of empowerment?
Firstly, a very good morning to everyone, and I also want to wish all the women out there a happy Women's Day. Yes, if you talk about women empowerment, I think, not just women, I think everyone should stand out and support women, because I think we all deserve, opportunity in every field. And especially if I talk about my journey, I come from a Muslim community where, usually people don't allow their women to go pursue their dreams. So my father saw something in me, and he supported in a sports where it is, male-dominating sport. It's known as a male-dominating sport, and my father supported me in that sport. And I think, that was the day I have decided कि I'll tell everyone, no, it's not just a male-dominating sport. I will show everyone that we can also dominate in such sport. And the day I have started boxing, obviously many people told me, अरे क्यों boxing शुरू कर रहे हो? ये तो मर्दों का game है. If you play sport, you will hurt yourself and no one will marry you and all that. But my father never never heard what they said. He always told me to always focus on boxing. And बेटा अगर आप मेडल जीतोगे, अपने सपने पूरे करोगे, तो दिन यही लोग आपके पास आके आपके साथ फ़ोटोज़ खींचेंगे और बोलेंगे कि देखो हमारे निज़ामाबाद डिस्ट्रिक्ट में एक लड़की है जो वर्ल्ड लेवल पे इंडिया को रिप्रेजेंट किया एंड मेडल जीता. तो आई थिंक दैट्स द स्टार्ट. I took that, I started that journey. And now when I won 2022 World Championship gold medal, many people from my community, especially girls, their father call my father, tells कि अरे जमील भाई मेरी बेटी को भी बॉक्सिंग शुरू करना है. तो निखत is her idol and she is the inspiration to all the girls out there. So कोई तरीका बताओ कि कैसे शुरू करें. Is there any academy or center where we can train our girls? So I think that's where I found कि this is the achievement for me, because it's not easy to encourage or inspire the girls from my community, and which I'm doing that, and I think that's a huge achievement for me. So, and if you talk about Commonwealth Games, obviously Vinesh is my very close friend, and I have seen her, hard days and good days. So we always support each other, no matter what, in whatever times we are with each other. I saw her in Rio Olympics. I was very heartbroken when she got injured, and then we met in Inspire Institute in Bellary. There she was doing her rehab, I was doing my shoulder rehab. We met each other, we started talking about each other's struggles, journey. So that's how we know कि हर एक athlete अपनी life में struggle कर रहा है. It's just that we need each other's support. And when we had a dream कि इंडिया को medal मतलब इंडिया के लिए medal जीतना है, so when we represented India at the Commonwealth Games, that was our first competition where we both went together, and she won the gold medal. Then when my final match was there, she came to support me. I think that was very overwhelming for me to see her coming and watching my final bout and shouting. I could hear her voice inside the ring. Nikhat Mar, I could hear that voice. So that was really motivating, and when I won gold medal, I was going back and I heard she is calling me. She's calling me from behind, and I just turned, and when I saw her, I was very happy. I was like the happiest kid there, and I wanted someone who is very familiar to me, and I just wanted to give her a hug, and I hugged her, and I was very happy. Both were happy that we both won gold medal. So yeah, that was a sweet moment for us.
So that was world champion Nikhat Zareen telling you about, her moments of empowerment. Women should support each other. As, Nikhat said, that's what we don't do as much. We should keep doing that. And also, what is more important, again, an athlete strives to reach that highest level. But when, others are inspired, as you're saying, there are many others who now want to take up, such a rigorous sport like boxing. That is the real empowerment. Rani, let me come to you. We have all, heard, we have read about this, your struggle, how, you beat your circumstances to get where you are. आप बताइए, and I have spoken to you before also in interviews on panels, and you have said that, there was a lot of resistance. People in my community said that, is this girl going to play in shorts? How will we, and your parents felt that, how are we going to face people when my girl plays in shorts? So tell us, as a young athlete, take yourself back 10, 15, at the start of your career. What was young Rani's, maybe first or, like towards the earlier part of your career, what were your moments of empowerment that I can get into sporting gear, I can play freely? Tell us, tell my audience some of your first moments of empowerment through sport.
एक्चुअली मैंने 7 साल की उम्र में हॉकी खेलना शुरू किया था कुरुक्षेत्र डिस्ट्रिक्ट शाहबाद मारकंडा हरियाणा में. अगर मैं 20-25 साल पहले की बात करूं तो हरियाणा में लड़कियों को स्पोर्ट खिलाना इज़ अ बिग टास्क. मतलब सबको लगता था कि लड़कियां स्पोर्ट्स खेलेंगी, ऐसा तो नहीं हो सकता. अभी तो सिनेरियो, अभी टाइम बहुत चेंज हो गया कि पेरेंट्स बहुत अवेयर हैं और लड़कियां इतना अच्छा कर रही हैं, नॉट इवन इन ओनली इन हरियाणा बट ओवरऑल इन इंडिया। यू नो, आप ओलंपिक गेम्स में देखोगे, इवन नॉट इन स्पोर्ट्स, किसी भी आप सेक्टर में देखोगे, कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर में देखोगे, लड़कियां मतलब इतना ज़्यादा अच्छा कर रही हैं। सो सबको लगता है कि लड़कियां कुछ कर सकते हैं, बट 25 साल पहले तो व्हेन आई वाज 7 years old एंड मैंने अपने फादर को बोला कि मुझे हॉकी खेलनी है शाहबाद मारकंडा में, क्योंकि वहाँ पे और कोई स्पोर्ट था नहीं, सिर्फ हॉकी खेलते थे। एंड इंडिया की वन ऑफ द बेस्ट वीमेंस हॉकी अकेडमी थी जहाँ से अभी तक 80 लड़कियाँ इंडिया को रिप्रेजेंट कर चुकी हैं, यू नो, एंड 150 गर्ल्स, मोर देन 150 गर्ल्स जो अभी गवर्नमेंट जॉब्स पे हैं, यू नो, जो खाने के लिए भी स्ट्रगल करते थे एंड आज उनके बच्चे इतने अच्छे स्कूलों में पढ़ते हैं, दे आर लिविंग अ गुड लाइफ। सो जब मैंने पेरेंट्स को बोला कि मुझे हॉकी खेलना है एंड दे वर लाइक कि मतलब क्या बोल रही है, ये पॉसिबल नहीं हो सकता कि हॉकी खेलना, वो भी हमें लोग क्या बोलेंगे। और मुझे लगता है हर लड़की ने ये शायद ज़रूर सुना होता ना कि उसके पेरेंट्स उसको ज़रूर बोलते कि लोग क्या बोलेंगे। हमें भी आज तक नहीं पता कि वो लोग कौन है, मतलब ना, बट बोलते ज़रूर हैं सब लोग ना। बट येस, मेरे पेरेंट्स ने देन दे स्पीक टू माई रिलेटिव्स कि ऐसे लड़की बोल रही है हॉकी खेलनी है, यू नो, एंड दे आर लाइक कि नहीं नहीं हॉकी मत खिलाना, शॉर्ट्स डाल के खेलेगी, टी शर्ट डाल के खेलेगी और एक दिन तो आपका नाम ही ख़राब करेगी, मतलब ना आपको बैड नेम ही लेके आएगी, तो उसको मत खिलाना, हमारा कम्युनिटी का भी नाम ख़राब करेगी। एंड यू नो, मुझे लगता है हर पेरेंट्स ना अपने बच्चे के लिए अच्छा ही सोचता है, हर पेरेंट्स चाहता है कि उसका बच्चा लाइफ में सक्सेस हो, कुछ अच्छा करे, बट समटाइम्स ना सोसाइटी का प्रेशर इतना ज़्यादा होता है ना उनके ऊपर कि वो चाह के भी वो अपने बच्चों को वो सपोर्ट नहीं कर पाते जो वो करना चाहते हैं। मुझे नहीं लगता कोई भी पेरेंट्स ऐसा है जो अपने बच्चों को सपोर्ट नहीं करना चाहता, जो भी बेस्ट पॉसिबल वे में होता है वो सपोर्ट करते हैं अपने बच्चों को। बट मैंने काफ़ी जिद की अपने पेरेंट्स के साथ ना कि मैं हॉकी खेलना चाहती हूँ, मुझे एटलीस्ट एक चांस दो। मुझे था कि मुझे एक अच्छा एग्जांपल सेट करना है सोसाइटी में लड़कियों के लिए ना, जहाँ पे लोग ये बोलें कि नहीं हमारी लड़की हॉकी खेलेगी, खेलनी चाहिए लड़की ना, कि कुछ तो अच्छा करेगी। बट माई पेरेंट्स वर वेरी स्केयर, यू नो, कि सोसाइटी का प्रेशर है इतना। बट जब मैंने शुरू की ना तो आई स्टिल रिमेंबर कि मेरे जितने रिलेटिव्स या मेरे पापा के फ्रेंड्स सब थे ना, सब ने उनके साथ बोलना बंद कर दिया। एंड ही वॉज स्टैंडिंग अलोन कि ठीक है बेटा तू खेल, कोई बात नहीं, अब जो देखा जाएगा जो हो गया। वैसे भी सब मेरे अगेंस्ट तो खड़े हो ही गए हैं, बट लेकिन यही है कि तू कुछ अच्छा करियो अब ना, जिससे कि लोग ये बोलें कि इनकी लड़की ने हॉकी शुरू किया था तो उसने आज ये किया। एंड मेरे लिए मुझे लगता है कि जब मैं शाहबाद में वापस जाती थी ना, जब मैं इंडियन टीम में आना शुरू हुई, उसके बाद मैं वापस जाने लगी, उस टाइम सोशल मीडिया का भी इतना ज़माना नहीं था 2008-9 में ना। एंड पीपल स्टार्ट सीइंग कि हमारा एक ड्रीम होता था कि कभी हमारी न्यूज़पेपर में फ़ोटो आएगी या नहीं आएगी, यू नो, क्योंकि हम दूसरों की फ़ोटोज़ देखते थे, दूसरे एथलीट्स की देखते थे उस टाइम जो खेलते थे ना, सो हमें लगता था कि हमारी तो शायद कभी नहीं आ सकती फ़ोटो। बट जब न्यूज़पेपर्स में फ़ोटो आनी, लोगों ने देखना, एंड वही लोग ना जब पापा के पास आना, यू नो, कि हमारी, जैसे निकित ने बोला ना कि हमारी लड़की को भी हॉकी खेलना है, यू नो, उसको भी रानी के जैसा बनना है। एंड देन आई स्टार्टेड फीलिंग कि मेरे को जो एक वो बोलते हैं ना, एक साइकिल ब्रेक करना था ना, कि वो जो एक मेंटल साइकिल है ना कि लड़कियां कुछ कर नहीं सकती या लड़कियां सिर्फ बैड नेम लेके आती हैं। एंड आई नो, यू नो, इट वाज नॉट इजी। हमेशा इतना प्रेशर रहता था ना मेरे ऊपर ना, बीइंग अ गर्ल ना, क्योंकि जब घर जाना ना तो पापा ने मम्मी को एक ही बात बोलना, इसको समझाया कर, तू इसको थोड़ा समझाया कर कि ये कोई गलत रास्ते पे ना जाए, ये ऐसा ना हो वैसा ना हो। हर पेरेंट्स की सिक्योरिटी, यू नो, एक सेफ्टी से वो रहता है अपने बच्चे के लिए ना। एंड एज अ यंग किड ना यू डोंट अंडरस्टैंड दोज थिंग्स। जब आप बड़े होते हैं ना तब आपको समझ आते हैं कि अच्छा पेरेंट्स क्यों बोलते थे। एंड आई वाज लाइक आप हमेशा मम्मा मुझे ऐसे क्यों बोलते हो, मतलब ना, और पापा मुझे क्यों नहीं बोलते, आप ही क्यों बोलते हो, मतलब वो भी तो मुझे सीधा बोल सकते हैं ना। बट वी डोंट अंडरस्टैंड एज अ किड ना कि एक फादर जो होता है वो हमेशा मैसेज कन्वे करने की कोशिश करता है। एंड आई थिंक इट्स ऑलवेज अ फादर एक डॉटर के लिए ना हु इज़ फर्स्ट एंड बिगेस्ट सपोर्टर। जब एक लड़की कुछ अचीव करती है ना, इट्स ऑलवेज स्टार्ट विद द फादर। एंड आई थिंक आई एम वेरी लकी एंड ब्लेस्ड कि आई स्टिल हैव अ फादर, बिकॉज नॉट मैनी गर्ल्स हैव दैट प्रिविलेज और ब्लेस्ड they have fathers who can support them, you know. So I think sometimes we take things granted, but today if someone asks me what is my biggest blessing, I still feel like I still have parents.
So आपका जब पेपर में फोटो आ गया, then I think it is important. It is very important for us all, you know, to see that kind of support. And you know, that's when society starts accepting us more. So again, that was so. आपका जब आ गया तो you know, people started saying कि हमारे लड़कियां भी खेलेंगी, right?
Yeah, बिल्कुल. But I think you know we always speak कि men's को women's को support करनी चाहिए. But I always believe ना कि अगर women's को ज़्यादा support करेंगी ना, we can empower each other more and more because sometimes it's a small thing, you know, like I came in the room and you just said you are looking so beautiful.
Yes.
You know, it's a very small thing, but it's make a huge difference for a women. So if women appreciate, encourage more women, I think then we can grow as
Sure
a society in a good way.
Sure enough. Let me come to Sagar. Sagar, everywhere you go these days in India, you find Wow Momo. At the airport, you find Wow Momo. Everywhere I go in Kolkata, I find Wow Momo. Now, obviously, you have a huge workforce. Tell us, what percentage of ladies do you have and how do you empower women in that way?
No, firstly, you know, a happy Women's Day to all beautiful women out here. I'm lucky to be sitting between two sides of beautiful women around me. Thank you so much. I hope even men can compliment, not just women. But you know, for us at Wow Momo, Wow stands for World of Women, World of Wellness, right? And if you reverse the word Wow, it's mom. And my mom has been the most inspiring person in my life. Okay, she's my lifeline, she's my support system. But you know, we've always looked at empowerment as inspiration. You know, how do you inspire, right? I mean, you know, it's not just the society pressure for women. I think जब मैंने college third year में Wow Momo शुरू किया था, a lot of my relatives, a lot of my family friends told my parents कि भाई क्या कर रहे हो, अपने बेटे को इतना पढ़ाया है लिखाया है, अब वो मोमो वाला बनेगा. और आज मैं ये कहता हूँ कि हमारे देश में अगर एक चाय वाला प्रधानमंत्री बन सकता है तो मोमो वाला भी कुछ कर सकता है. So, you know, today we have around 7,000 people working with us. I think over 2,000 of them would be women. Over 267 of them are transgenders also. So we are the first QSR chain. Back in 2015, हमने अपना, तो मेरे को वामो में 15 साल हो गए, मैंने 21 साल की उम्र में शुरू किया था. और back in 2015 is when we hired our first transgender, and I remember the entire community had revolted. मेरे दुकान में पत्थर फेंके गए थे, कांच टूटे गए थे. But we took a stand to protect them because others didn't want them to work. जैसे आपने कहा ना कि women को support करना चाहिए, वहाँ पे they didn't want them to work. They said कि नहीं, इनके काम नहीं करेंगे, ये बस जाके भीख मांगेंगे. वहाँ से लेकर एक जर्नी जहाँ हमको पुलिस प्रोटेक्शन लेना पड़ा, हमको कम्युनिटी को समझाना पड़ा, आज इस जगह पे आके जहाँ पे हमारी टीम जाके ट्रेन करती है कि आप ट्रांसजेंडर्स को ट्रेन करो कि वो कैसे रेस्टोरेंट बिजनेस में काम करें. तो आई थिंक इट्स बिन अ जर्नी. आई थिंक to empower is to inspire. How can you allow someone to go out there and live their dreams? I think sports is a very, very big inspiration for all of us because it teaches you the highs and the lows. I mean, मैं तो ये मानता हूँ कि मेरे last 15 साल has been nothing other than a Bollywood blockbuster. There are days where I've been very happy, so happy that मेरे को रात को नींद नहीं आई. And then there are days where I've been anxious, sad, depressed, felt like giving up, और रात को नींद नहीं आई. और मैं तो यही कहता हूँ कि आपके सपने इतने बड़े होने चाहिए कि आपको सोने ना दें. So I'm lucky, I'm blessed to be living my dream. But ultimately, it all boils down to the team. It's a team that builds a brand. I think blessed to have a great team. और मैंने एक और चीज़ सीखा है, बहुत जल्दी सीखा था कि you can't keep all the wealth to yourself. To make wealth, you need to share wealth. So, I started with one co-founder. Today, we are 4 co-founders. In 2 years' time, 2.5 years' time, when we go public, when we go IPO, I'm sure there'll be 15, 20 people who will become millionaires in the company. My first chef, who was a part-time cook, who would come at 6 in the morning in the bicycle and make momos for us in my house kitchen. Today, he draws a fat 5-figure salary, but उसको English नहीं आती है. उसकी daughter ने अभी English honors कलकत्ते के एक best college से complete किया. She is becoming a journalist like you guys. वो अभी 2 चक्के से 4 चक्के पे आता है, उसको इंग्लिश बोलना नहीं आता है, उसको एक्सेल चलाना नहीं आता है. But that is a story of a role model where someone starts from 3,000 and gets somewhere. So you need to share wealth to make wealth. And I think You need to inspire more people. Today, I am also the president of the NRAI, which is the National Restaurant Association of India. And you know, when I see food startups, I think every success story helps, every failure helps. हमारे देश में ना हम सिर्फ success को celebrate करते हैं, हम failure को celebrate नहीं करते हैं. But honestly, there are lot many failures that make that success. And that's why we say hashtags mistakes are good. You know, it's good to make mistakes, it's good to learn from them. But I think times need to change because it's not just a successful sportsman who has to be celebrated. I think there are many unsung heroes who've almost got there and not been able to get there. Imagine in a country of 140 crore individuals, you know, there are very few who get up there, and hats off to all of you. I mean, you people inspire and continue inspiring, and God bless.
Thank you, Sagar Daryani. I would say you are a figure of empowerment because women's empowerment is women hand in hand with men. And, you know, when you grow, when people like you grow, you take others with them, you take the bottom to the top, and that's how you empower. Thank you, Sagar. Thank you for those very inspiring, you know, sharing those experiences. Let me come to Rubina. Rubina, you made history when you won a Paralympic medal. Tell me, who has been a figure of inspiration for you as a woman?
Good morning, everyone. First of all, Happy Women's Day. मेरे लिए इंस्पायर मेरी मॉम है. कहते हैं ना कि एम्पावरमेंट घर से चालू होनी चाहिए. दैट इज़ आवर मॉम. क्योंकि बहुत छोटी छोटी चीज़ें होती हैं जो हमें परमिशन लेनी पड़ती है, और वो परमिशन के जो अलाउ करता है वो सबसे पहले माँ करती है. तो फॉर मी इट्स माई मॉम. कहते हैं कि एक जो एथलीट, उससे पहले कह सकते हैं कि एक पैरा एथलीट बहुत लाइफ में स्ट्रगल्स करता है एक्सट्रीम लेवल पे, क्योंकि बॉडी चेंजेस होती हैं, बहुत कुछ ऐसे चेंजेस होते हैं जो नॉर्मली गर्ल्स की लाइफ में होती हैं बट एक पैरा एथलीट के लाइफ में होते हैं. आई एम अ क्लब फुट चाइल्ड. बचपन में जब आई वॉज बॉर्न, आई वॉज द सेम कंडीशन, इवन द वर्स्ट. बट इन सबसे बाहर आने का जो स्ट्रेंथ है वो मेरे पेरेंट्स हैं. And it is just a coincidence. I went to the sports, and I don't know, I was not planning. It's just a God gifted to me that suddenly one day came into my life that I got selected in shooting. Already you know, shooting is a very expensive game. Nobody can afford it easily. So कहते हैं कि पेरेंट्स ने जब हाँ बोल दिया है तो आपको कोई भी कायनात मना नहीं कर सकती है. Nobody can stop you from doing that success, to reach that success. So when I heard about Nikhat, she said she's from a Muslim family, and वहाँ पे रोक टोक बहुत होती है, सारी चीज़ें होती है. तो it's the same with all the women's, because एक सिटी से बाहर जाना और एक ऐसी सिटी में जाना जहाँ सेफ नहीं फील होता है, जहाँ वुमेन्स आर नॉट सिक्योर्ड वेल, उस जगह पेरेंट्स जब ट्रस्ट करके अपनी बेटी को आगे भेजते हैं, तो फॉर मी दैट इज़ एम्पावरमेंट. फॉर मी वी कैन से दैट कि जब एक लड़की सब कुछ छोड़कर अपने ड्रीम्स को परस्यू करती है तो उसमें एक का सपोर्ट नहीं होता है. देयर आर मैनी पिलर्स स्टैंडिंग ओवर. सो मेरी जर्नी ऐसी ही चालू हुई 10 साल पहले जब मैंने शूटिंग में अपने आप को इनरोल किया. आई मेक माई सेल्फ क्लियर कि मुझे स्पोर्ट्स में कुछ करना है. मेरी लाइफ बहुत अच्छी चल रही थी, पढ़ाई एंड ऑल स्टडीज़, आई वॉज डूइंग वेरी गुड. बट कहते हैं कि एक अलग ले लेनी थी, मुझे अपनी लाइफ को इन्हांस करना कि मुझे कुछ अलग करना है लाइफ में. बीइंग अ पैरा, बीइंग अ वुमेन, आई हैव टू मेक एग्जाम्पल्स फॉर अदर वुमेन्स ऑल्सो. तो एक शूटिंग एक जर्नी थी जो मेरी लाइफ में आया, परस्यू दैट, और इट टुक मी 10 years टू गेट दैट मेडल. इन सब बीचों में मैंने मेंटली स्ट्रगल किया, मैंने फिजिकली स्ट्रगल किया, बिकॉज बीइंग अ पैरा एथलीट हमारे चैलेंजेस बहुत होते हैं, बॉडी पोस्चर्स चेंज होते हैं, एंड दीज ऑल थिंग्स केम इन माई लाइफ लाइक अ हर्डल्स. उसको मैंने बहुत अच्छे से इम्प्रूव किया, मैंने फेस ऑफ किया विद द सपोर्ट ऑफ पेरेंट्स एंड इवन कोचेज ऑल्सो. आई विल शेयर वन इंसिडेंट विथ मी. जब पैरालंपिक का मेडल का मैच था, दैट वॉज 30 अराउंड अगस्त की बात है. इट्स बीन ऑलमोस्ट 7-6 months. तो आज भी आई हैव अ गूज बम्स लाइक आई एम फीलिंग राइट नाउ ऑल्सो. मेरा क्वालिफिकेशन मैच था एंड द सेम हैपन विद द टोक्यो 2020. इंसिडेंट सेम था. आई वॉज इन द फाइनल्स, आई वॉज इन टू 7th पोजिशन, एंड सडनली माई बॉडी गेट शिवर्ड. मुझे नहीं पता चल रहा कि मेरे साथ क्या होगा, बट जो टोक्यो में मैंने गलतियाँ करी थी उसको वापस मैंने रिपीट नहीं करी पेरिस में, क्योंकि आई टुक 3 years टू ओवरकम ऑल द स्ट्रगल्स. मेंटली मैंने खुद को प्रिपेयर किया एंड कहते हैं वुमेन को सपोर्ट करती है, दैट इज़ वेरी गुड. बट आई विल से दैट अगर आपके पास एक मैन है, दैट इज़ माई कोच, ही सपोर्टेड मी अ लॉट. मतलब पेरेंट्स का साथ मैंने 2018-19 में छोड़ दिया था बिकॉज आई शिफ्टेड टू दिल्ली. आई डोंट नो हु ऑल वुमेन्स आर देयर विथ मी, बट हाँ देयर आर द पॉजिटिव फॉर मी. बट माई कोच कहते ना गुरु जेंडर्स रिवील नहीं करते, मतलब दे हैव नो जेंडर्स, मेल फीमेल, इट्स जस्ट अ गुरु. वो भगवान के रूप में होते हैं. फॉर मी ही इज़ द वन हु एम्पावर्ड मी एंड आई कैन से दैट अगर वो नहीं होते तो आई वॉज नॉट स्टैंडिंग ओवर देयर इन द पोडियम. आई कैन से दैट कि जब हम फाइनल्स खेलते हैं तो हार्ट बीट एक्सट्रीम लेवल पे जाती है. उसको बीट करना इट इज़ हॉरिबल. यू कांट लाइक एक हार्ट अटैक का जो फीलिंग आती है, आई एम नॉट इन द सेम सिचुएशन बट आई कैन से दैट सांस नहीं आती है, यू कैंट ब्रीथ प्रॉपरली, बट उन सारी सिचुएशन को डील करना यू नीड मेंटर. So
for you, your coach and your has been a mentor for you.
Exactly. तो ये सारी जर्नी मेरी ऐसी चालू हुई है एंड ऑल क्रेडिट गोज टू माई कोच. एंड माँ नहीं होती तो आई वुड नॉट बी हियर. For me,
so thank you very much, Rubina. So Rubina's coach and her mother have been empowering figures for her. Thank you very much. I'll come to Dipti. Dipti, you are a doctor, you save lives, and you have been watching, soaking in the proceedings of the conclave. I've seen your pictures attending various sports tournaments. Tell us, what lessons do you take from sport into your field of practice?
Whilst we are discussing empowerment, I think, just like in sports where you have women, like you do discussing how, why is a woman doing, boxing, for example. I think those questions come to us in medicine as well, right? For example, I remember in emergency medicine, we also put bones back in place, right? For a person's coming in, they've broken their arm or they've broken their leg. We're actually, emergency medicine, in trauma, we are putting their bones back. A woman has fallen down and then she's like, you will put my bone back. I didn't reply. I said, I told myself, it's a matter of skill. No? So you put it back. I showed the before after x-ray and then that's it. Sometimes you let your work do its own talking, right? So and then the other thing is, of course, if you lose a match, next day you're coming back in for the next match with a fresh mind. So we do have some days, we have tough times. We are not God. We have moments where sometimes it's beyond us to save everybody, right? Or sometimes but those are extremely tough days. And of course, people ask me, how do you deal with all the gory accidents? How do you deal with death on a very, very frequent basis? How does it affect your mental health? It does. I'm not going to lie that no doctor is completely immune to the negativity and the morbidity, but we have to come back, we have to brace ourselves, and I think sports is a wonderful thing in that you go running, you clear your mind and you get back to the task at hand, right? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dipti. Thank you. We draw from each other, men and women, hand in hand. We draw from each other's, professions. We draw from each other's lives. Can I have a really big round of applause for my wonderful, wonderful panelists? Thank you, Nikhat Zareen, Rani, Rubina. Thank you, Sagar. Thank you, Dipti. Thank you, everyone. This was a really inspiring panel and we could go on forever. Today is Women's Day, but I do have my time set for me, so I will have to release the stage now. Can I have the...
I was listening to some of the stories and I've heard some. I've heard some, all of our athletes here, and Sagar's story I've heard so many times. In fact, he was one of the very few who supported me when I was going through quite a bit. So we've had our moments, and it was an outstanding panel. I mean, Rani has been an inspiration to me, so has Nikhat, so has Rubina. I mean, I've interviewed them. It's been a privilege and pleasure. And Deepti, we've been friends for a long, long time. It was an outstanding panel, and look at the audience. I mean, packed from morning This is what it is all about. And I just also want to say that Rev Sports is not going to be finished or wouldn't have started without Shormishta. So on International Women's Day, hats off to her. On that note, let's create a moment. Let's create a moment. And you know, as storytellers, and we in the media are storytellers, think about this. We talk about Sheetal Devi, right? Armless archer, celebration of Sheetal Devi, and a lot of that. Now imagine this. Imagine this. I will call my very dear friend Bhavna Singh from Bharat Serums and Vaccines to come on stage and felicitate this panel, and to accompany Bhavna, or rather Bhavna will get her on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the next Paralympic gold medalist in Los Angeles. You have never heard of this. You have never seen something like this. The world's first armless and legless quadruple amputee archer. She yesterday competed in a able-bodied competition and came 8th. She is national champion, having beaten Sheetal Devi. I would want Payal Nag to come on stage along with Bhavna Singh to felicitate this panel. Payal on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, International Women's Day for us. This is what it means. This is what it means for us. To pull this off, to get, and by the way, we are trying, I don't know this, but Payal's coach Kuldeep Bhai is here, Kuldeep Vedwan. Kuldeep will join me on the panel as we celebrate Payal Nag. Rohan will host that, but we are somehow trying. We've got a target. We've got an archery target. I mean, obviously you guys need to be protected, so that's my challenge. But we want Payal to give us a demo, how she shoots the arrow with her mouth. And we are trying to get that done as part of our panel and later on in the day. Ladies and gentlemen, Rani, Nikhat, Rubina, Deepti, Bhavna, Payal, Sagar and Shormishta, put your hands together, all of you, for this panel. This is a celebration.
Well, I'm not aware about whether Payal has a sponsor or not, but on behalf of Wow Momo, we take the opportunity to sponsor us going forward when she wins a medal. So Payal, we at Wow Momo will love to have you and sponsor you if you agree, but thank you so much. We will take care of you. Whatever it takes, we'll be with her till when she gets that medal.
That made my day, ladies and gentlemen. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Put your hands together for all these outstanding men and women. And once again, Nikhat Zareen, it's not over till it's over. I know next year Asian Games, we will be there for you. You lose, you win. Don't care. You are my hero. Rani, you've forever been our hero, and you will. Rubina, I want to see you next year at the Para-Asian Games and subsequently at LA. Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you very much, and Payal, thank you very much for joining me.
Happy birthday.
Okay, time. Settle down, settle down. There will be many such moments today, ladies and gentlemen. Trisha, Ashwin says the link isn't working. Have you sent him the right link? That's very me. Ashwin's joined? Wonderful. Okay, to get the next session on, my very dear friend, now one of India's best commentators. You listen to him every day for the ICC Champions Trophy. Captain of Bengal, one of India's best wicket keepers. Put your hands together for Deep Dasgupta. দুটো চেয়ার কমাতে হবে, তিনটে থাকবে। দীপ মাঝখানে বসবেন, দীপ মাঝখানে, শুভায়নের আমি দুদিকে। Joining us on a link because the IPL camp is on, Chennai Super Kings camp is on. Joining us on a video link, Trisha will get him on right away in the next couple of minutes. Trisha, are we ready? Are we ready? Okay, so joining in the next couple of minutes, Ravi Chandran Ashwin. And to host this session with me, my very dear friend and colleague who's covered loads of cricket with Rev Sports over the last couple of years. Put your hands together for Shubhayan Chakraborty. Welcome. If you can hear me. I need sound.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
If you can hear me. I need sound. We need to stop this echo.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
If you can hear me. I need sound. We need to stop this echo.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
If you can hear me. I need sound. We need to stop this echo.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
If you can hear me. I need sound. Ash, when I ask you the question, if you sort of unmute yourself and the rest of the time you mute, I think there's an echo from your end.
Okay. I'll mute it once I'm done. Yes.
This is fine now. This is fine now. Absolutely fine. Let's go. Okay. So we are starting this session. We call it Cricketers as Storytellers. First question, obviously for Ravichandran Ashwin. And before I go to Deep, and I'll hand it over to Shubhayan. Okay. Ash, I want to put this on record. You were supposed to be physically here. I am aware that there is an IPL camp, but I had told my audience that Ravichandran Ashwin will be here, and I wasn't lying. So you must first clarify that.
There is a question of lying here. Obviously, I wanted to be there, but due to commitments, because the IPL is just not about cricket, right? We need to do a lot more things around it. So we joined the camp. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there in flesh and skin, but glad to be joining you guys on a virtual. Thank you.
Question for you, can we have his volume up? Can we have Ashwin's volume up a little bit? Do you have a headphone by any chance?
No, I'm not wearing it.
Question for you, can we have his volume? No, as in, do you have a headphone? Because there's still an echo.
No, I don't have an headphone on. You want me to put one on? No, I'm not wearing it.
Yeah, if you have it, if you can get it, it will be great.
Because the AirPods don't seem to work.
Yeah, AirPods?
No, I don't have an headphone on. You want me to put one on? I need to get somebody to get it for me. I need to go out. Is it mandatory or should I just talk loud?
Okay,
easier for you? Because the AirPods don't seem to work.
Question, we call this session Cricketers as Storytellers. When did this idea of doing it on YouTube and your own thing and becoming a viral sensation, you have taken our jobs away, we'll do more. When did this happen and how did this happen?
Firstly, no one can take anybody's job away. It's not the intent anymore. We all have space to coexist and we all can do it by our own pace. The intent was never to be in this space to do what I'm doing right now. I had begun during COVID to just start initiating some conversations. I think the video is off. Anyway, can you guys hear me? Yes, okay. So the initiation was to try and keep people engaged with cricket content and also to keep myself going to during the COVID lockdown, and I started off with that. And obviously, because of the kind of reception I was getting in terms of interactions and interviews that we were doing on the channel, really gave me the impetus to try and see if I can do something more. But ever since that, I've continuously kept it going. Like any other walk of field that I do, I don't generally do anything which I'm half-hearted with or half-minded with. So I go all in. I try and put my mind behind it and continuously try to do what I do on the channel now. But what I do now is basically to try and bring the game as it is, without trying to, get mingled with the whole fan angle to it and being very emotional about it. I somehow always felt that cricket has lost its angle of the sport itself over the last decade or two, because the sport I used to listen to when I was younger was very different and very warm and very engaging, which I felt has been lost over the course of time. Tony Greig was one of those lovely storytellers. Jeff Boycott was one more. Henry Blofeld was one more. So I loved listening to all those people. Ian Chappell. So I always learned my cricket from them. So I wanted to try and do my bit.
So he comes into this as a storyteller because, like he just said, that when he was growing up, there were many storytellers. When you do your commentary, and I'll hand it over to Shubhayan after this, what is the one thing that you keep in mind? When I'm listening to you, what do you want to give me, or Shubhayan, or the hundreds listening, or the millions listening to you? Because you are watched, you are consumed by millions and millions of people, whether it is on Star, whether it is on Geo, now Geo Star. What is your philosophy of commentary?
Well, my effort is to try and be the bridge between the players who are performing and people who are watching. Because there are a lot of things which happen on the field and why it's happening, what could be the strategy, what could be the thought process behind it. Because obviously there is a plan there, and very often people just say, oh, what was that? And did he really have to do that? But obviously there is a thought process. Maybe the planning wasn't right, or maybe the execution wasn't right. So my idea, what I try and do is try and be that bridge between the player and the viewers and the spectators, and try and bring their perspective out. Because obviously they've got bat and ball, but then somebody has to tell them why they're doing what they're doing. So yeah, I mean, predominantly that's what I try and do.
Ashwin, my question is to you. Of course, you started your YouTube journey with the Tamil channel, and the kind of reception you have had is tremendous. The numbers show is the proof for the kind of work you have put in. But starting a Tamil channel, was there any conservative thought that the mass of Haryana, UP, Delhi, Punjab, where the mass population watches cricket and consumes cricket, was there a thought that they might not consume it, and were you surprised by the kind of reception you have had from the northern part of India who perhaps does not know Tamil? Was there a thought that they might not consume?
Look, I think I've constantly had feedbacks from people saying that we'd love to listen to you in English or Hindi. And that's why probably I started my Hindi channel as well, even though my Hindi isn't as fluent or as nearly as perfect as it needs to be. Deep can obviously give a stamp of proof on that. I'm no Navjot Singh Sidhu or Kapil Dev to be able to do it the same scale that they do it. But the attempt is there, and I want to really make one thing very clear. This is not a businessman or a corporate guy who's ventured into a business to do something fabulously well to turn it into a profitable organization as itself. But the idea has floated, and it's gotten me there where I have been able to employ people to do a certain job, and largely cricket tragics who have wanted to engage themselves in the sport that have come along the way and given hand in it. The mindset for me, if anything, the word to be used is not conservative at all. I am not one of those guys that you associate the word with. I'm never conservative. But the fact of the matter is, when I started the channel, and YouTube as a place it's got scope for a regional market. Okay, if you do want to have a global audience who consume a lot of things in Netflix, and then you take a direct parallel. I mean, and I'm not saying Netflix, any of the other OTT platforms, language hasn't been a barrier ever since we've been in a lockdown. People have managed to consume it, and if you look at my channel, I've made a very conscious effort to put a subtitle out here, which is not something that a lot of people put an effort into. So for me, the idea is not to turn it into a large-scale model, but the idea is if people want to consume cricket, they will consume it. If they want to consume a movie, they will. A lot many more South Indian movies have taken it to the market around the country just because of the availability of subtitles and different dubbing options. There's not been a day where I haven't tried to scale it up and dub it into different languages, but the platform per se doesn't allow you to do it as of now, but I'm sure it will. There is AI that's evolving into it, but nevertheless, for me to be in flesh and skin and to be able to give the authenticity is why I started the Hindi channel. And to be very honest, it is an energy-consuming drill, but I do enjoy it. I'm not someone who will YouTube quite for a long period of time. My creative mind needs to spin all the time. To be very honest, it is.
And we see the creativity of P-Dog as well, with all the dresses and all the gimmicks that he puts on, and it's entertaining. It's entertainment plus cricket, which is the selling point of the Indian cricket. But Deepta, of course, as Ashwin talks in Tamil, you have your own thing in Bangla as well. Sports and language, as Ashwin said, is that really a barrier in terms of
I don't think so. I honestly don't think so, right? What Ashwin just mentioned, I mean, sports doesn't have a language, and especially when someone like Ashwin's talking, you want to listen. I still remember during the pandemic, Ash, you did that series with the spinners, right? All of them. That was absolutely brilliant. It was so informative, and you could listen, you could understand, you could learn so much. And I'm glad that someone like him is taking this initiative and doing it, because like he rightly said again, that's your platform. You say what you have to, right? So there are times where you might want to say something, you don't have a platform, but yeah, this is kind of brilliant what he's doing, and language doesn't really matter, and especially when when he's talking, you want to listen, irrespective of what language he's speaking.
Beautiful answer, beautiful answer. Ash, we call it cricketers as storytellers, and in your case, by the way, I've said this many times and I'm putting it on record, you are one of India's greatest ever match winners. Greatest ever match winners, 530 plus wickets. It doesn't happen like that.
Number of man of the series?
Exactly, number of man of the series. From a middle class boy in Chennai to becoming the greatest bowler in the world, that is quite a journey. But for me, when you left Australia and we were about to meet in Melbourne, believe me, the story did not have the best end. According to you, was the journey complete? I don't want a controversy here, but I want to celebrate Ravichandran. Ashwin will always do that. But, for me, you still had cricket. Why did you have to leave? Why did you not continue? Because I still think you had cricket left. You had won a man of the series just 2 series back. Even in the last test that you played in Adelaide, you bowled beautifully. Why would you have to leave? And again, I put it on record, in the IPL we will see you do what you do. Do you now think, no, 1.5 months down the line, I still had my cricket, I shouldn't have left, India deserved you more? Or am I right in saying, no, I had my innings, I'm done with it?
These things, they just blow under the belt for a while. It just keeps, like tending in your mind as to what, when, how does it need to come to an end. And it's not like it didn't cross my mind even before that particular instance that it crossed. It had been like ballooning up for a while, and for me, it's one thing was very clear in my life. It didn't cross my mind even. I don't know why it is, but why it happened, it could have happened better way. All these things are questions that people keep asking me, but it's been a very, sort of a topsy-turvy ride. Never sailed in a high ground for a very long time. Never sailed in a low ground for a very long time. It's just been topsy-turvy. And keeping all that in mind, what we forget very often is the amount of emotional roller coasters one has to go through. People on the outside constantly want to vilify something. They constantly want to, try. They seek blood. They seek revenge all the time, and I find it very funny. There needs to be nobody else who is the reason for me to go out. And if somebody says this is the reason, X, Y, Z, or a situation is the reason that I retired from cricket, I would think that's a bloody damn insult on me. I don't think I'm ever the person. I'm ever the person that would want to go out on somebody else's terms. I want to live life on my terms, and when I say my terms, you're not rendered the hand all the time to be able to do that in your life. And for a very long time, under the cloud of being a cricketer, the cloud of being an Indian cricketer, you go through so much. You don't have everything under your own hands. And for me, to make decisions on my terms is very, very important. I want to reiterate that it was a decision made on my terms. Why did it have to happen there? It's simply that one fine day, there's this movie called Moneyball. I'm sure people have seen it, and you're told several times that you can't continue being a child and you need to grow up into a man. Some people are told that when they're 17, while some are told when they're 40. It's just the way life is. For me, right from the day I began being a professional cricketer, I was told that I can't be a boy, I have to be a man. And being a man is is a big burden for me. Those 3 months away from home, I had to dabble the debate of, is it time for me? Is it the right time for me to wait my turn? Bargaining on things back home. I would so very dearly want to drop my children at school and bring them back rather than run the drinks out. By no means, don't get me wrong, I don't want to I'm not demeaning the fact of running out drinks. I've done that very happily for years together. I'm so happy to do it. And if I have to do it for Chennai Super Kings also at some stage or in an IPL team, I wouldn't mind doing it. I love the game, but staying away from home and having to wait my turn and also wait for another series without direction, I felt like what was I trying to accomplish? And if I was trying to accomplish the record that I was chasing of Anil Kumble's, or if I was chasing some other record, that's so very selfish, and I never wanted to be standing up for that. And I stand against everything that is selfish in terms of sport and Indian cricket, and I don't want the next generation to have these as a marker to be continuing or carrying on. And what better way than to actually illustrate myself in that fashion. People did debate whether it was the right thing by the team, doing it in the middle of the series. Doesn't matter if it's middle of the series, start of the series or end of the series. It's an emotional decision and people just walk away, and I walked away. And I'm so happy and I'm so light-hearted at this point of time. And I'm glad that India is doing well and they're on the brink of winning another Champions Trophy. That's it.
I'll ask you that, but Deep, by the way, Trisha, that's your headline. I stand against everything that is...
I can't say.
Yeah, I stand against everything that is selfish in cricket. I did play for records. Ravichandran Ashwin. That's your headline, ladies and gentlemen. Break it. Break that. Deep, we keep saying this about Shane Warne. Perhaps the greatest player not to captain Australia.
Sorry to interrupt. I know you got the headlines and all that. But look, it's not the fact that I'm trying to put it out there that I didn't play for records. Because I was very good at numbers and because I was very systematic in the way I played my game, people often had the misconception that I play for numbers and I know my numbers very well. That's quite the contrary. I'm someone who lives for the day. I want to get better for the day. And because I did that, I knew what happened. I knew what my numbers are. Unfortunately for me, I've got a great memory, which I don't think is a blessing, by the way. So records meant very less to me, but winning games meant a lot more to me. So the only thing I was waiting on, if I was carrying on, was my own success and my own accomplishments, nothing else. I couldn't have done very beyond than that. And I didn't see a larger purpose going on.
Beautiful. Is he one that missed out on captaining India? Did India miss out on getting Ravichandran Ashwin as captain, like we say for Shane Warne?
Well, obviously he would have been a good captain, no two ways about it. Generally what you see is obviously performance, leaving that aside, that's unquestionable. But the way he's carried himself right through his career, his obviously cricketing sense and everything together, I think, yeah, but listen, yeah, I mean, come on, let's not get into that. But yeah, I'm sure he was part of the leadership group. I'm sure he had his inputs, and whether it was Virat or whether it was even MS when he was the captain with Rohit. And yeah, I mean, so yeah, there can only be one captain, I guess.
Ash, of course, you and Deepta also, you share a lot of space and time with all the commentators from all around the world. Ashwin mentioned about the Champions Trophy, and there has been a lot of talk about, India playing in Dubai and the controversy, and, there's an unfair advantage for India. And they are your colleagues, especially for Deepta, because he shares the dressing room or the commentary room with them. What's your take on that, Ashwin, and of course Deepta, about that?
Ash, you go first.
I think the question is very rhetorical, and I think the answer also needs to be a question in this case. Is it the mistake of Rohit Sharma that India is playing in Dubai? Is it the mistake of Gautam Gambhir that we are playing the Champions Trophy in Dubai? Whose mistake is it really? It is unfortunate and it's compelling that India has to play the Champions Trophy in a neutral venue. And there ends the debate. And neither, I've said this time in and time out, I've found okay, several is a wrong one, I've found teams, / you can pull the plural out of the teams, maybe for a few, who turn up for test series, end up getting smashed, and then the narrative while they go back is the fact that are these pitches true enough? So it's again going to come back and rally around the fact that who is really firing the matchstick on all these things? Who is really firing it up? And someone's giving you these reasons. Imagine one of India's captains or coaches playing a series in England, Australia, South Africa, finishing the series and telling you how difficult it was to take flights day in and day out and go out, and how difficult it was to stay in hotels. It was very tough to stay in. These are all reasons, and tournaments are never won on reasons or excuses. They are won on performances. Unfortunately for others, I would like to say this. I mean, it's on record. Champions Trophy in 2009 was played in South Africa. South Africa was the home team, played in the same venue, didn't win the tournament. Pakistan, obviously they played in Dubai now for one game. It's a home tournament. They've done it. They're not winning the tournament. They're bowed out. And when India played in 2023, we played in all the venues, while some teams stayed in one or two venues and played 2-3 games. It's not a question of raising these topics and talking about it and defending the team. It's the easiest thing to do. Now that I'm out of the team, I have no obligations. I can say, yes, it's a home advantage. But it isn't. The fact of the matter is, why are we buying into these things that are being sold or thrown at us? It's being thrown at us and we are giving mileage to it and firing and lighting the match league again and again. It makes no sense. Cricket needs to be played well. Stephen Smith, he's retired. He's gone away without a hue and cry from wanting ODI cricket. What did he say when the question was asked? He said there's no merit to it. And I think as long as we aren't proud of our own team being the beacon of this sport, actually Indian cricket team is a matter of pride for the entire nation. And if we as people are going to light up these things and show our team in poor light, then it makes, I feel it's very laughable. I feel it's very funny. Why do we end up doing it? Who are we jealous of? Anyway, that's my take on it.
Just to add to that, listen, first of all, players in general, and I don't know what Ash thinks about it, this actually helps India with all this talk about advantage because you've just given them an exit clause, a reason to fail. Right? I don't know, it helps the players, whichever country is talking about it. Secondly, as like Ash mentioned, it's not our fault. We can't do much about it, right? Then talking about 2023 World Cup, we traveled, 9 venues? And, okay, distances, so Guwahati to Kerala or whatever, it's 3 hours, right? I think Karachi to Dubai would be a shorter flight than that. Right, so, I mean, it does not make sense. Okay, let's look at last 2 decades, 2.5 decades team which have been very, very consistent. Australia, have you ever heard them complaining? New Zealand, have you ever heard them complaining? South Africa, you ever heard them complaining? Right, so listen, I mean, some people, they would complain. And what happens is then you're giving your players an easy way out to say, you know what, oh, there was fog or there was, travel involved or somebody's got an advantage. Listen, India will have an advantage, the kind of team that India have and the players that we will have an advantage, especially if the pitch is not as quick as, let's say, Australia. So carry the pitches from Australia everywhere else. West Indies was a slowish pitch. Did India have an advantage? Yes, we did have an advantage. So that goes without saying. I mean, listen, some people will crib. Let's not talk about it.
I love the way these two just dismiss the debate. I mean, just frankly, there is no
seriously,
debate.
Boria, what Ash mentioned, the more we talk about it, we just fanning that fire, which is a non-existent one. It does not make sense. And we keep talking about this advantage. Gautam's been asked, Rohit's been asked, everyone's been asked. It really does not make sense. I mean, a couple of people mentioned something, I don't know, and let it be. Yeah, sorry.
Ash, I mean, I was reading some comments. I think you said something on YouTube about Rohit and Virat continuing or something like that. I was reading in the media. Maybe, I don't know if you did say exactly what you said, but I'm asking you as a colleague of theirs, this entire debate,
First
debate.
tell me what I told, because I don't know what's being carried.
I think what I read was that you said Rohit might continue till the 2027 World Cup, but Virat might not, or something like that is what I read. I don't know if you said.
I was saying what I might have said was the fact that Rohit or Virat or Bumrah or whoever, they might continue to play on to the 2027 World Cup, or they might say, okay, they might find, okay, this is it. Anybody can make the decision. All I'm trying to say is, if people are going to say I'm done and they're going to hang their boots, let's celebrate them. Let's not, in my view, making a fanfare for sportsmen isn't required, and it shouldn't be the way we go forward. And whoever be it, let's celebrate what they've done. And if they're not, they want to continue, by all means, that merits a performance. What they do is what they should augur by, and that I might have said, but it's never really about one person or the other. I don't believe in singling out people in a team sport.
The question that I wanted to ask you is, like in Australia, a lot of us got worried about, the way our batting performed. Every time, unfortunately, our batting did not stand up. We are going to play a 5-test series against England, and I'm asking you now, as someone who's telling stories, doing his own media stuff, do you think we need to be worried about Indian test cricket? Do you think Virat, for example, that outside off-stump issue, can he rectify this? Is domestic cricket the answer to that? Is Rohit still the captain who's the best option? While in white ball, we are great, but is it the same with red ball, Ash? Are you confident of our chances in England?
Look, firstly, these sort of conversations need to be had amongst the leadership group, whether they want to have Rohit as the captain, who's going to be the leader, who's going to be the next captain. All these are things that have to be planned, and whether this communication is happening amongst the team management and the leadership group is something that I am at this point of time not privy to. So I would not be able to make a comment on what the decision is going to be. But the fact of the matter is, we are going to be concerned about the Indian test team. I would rather say it's in a much better place than some of the other test teams. Because if you go around the world and if you look at it, Steve Smith has got a few years maybe, and make no mistake, by the way Virat is batting, I think he's got the same thing I've told him implicitly. He's got a couple of years ahead of him easily. And the fact of the matter is, whether I am backing him or not backing him, I've got no reasons and I've got nothing, no axe to grind with anybody. The fact of the matter is he's fit, and I think he can contribute immensely to a group that's very young, and I have the first-hand witness to saying how certain basic things have been forgotten in grooming some of these cricketers in first-class cricket has to be replicated and taught and passed on by some of the seniors who will have to do that KT at this level. For instance, about how to shine a ball or even not to throw a ball into the surface is something I learned at first-class cricket. That fine-tuning isn't happening now, which is a cause of concern. However, look around the world. I've seen the video of Sam Constas batting in first-class cricket in Australia, and he was reverse lapping the fast bowler, and he got out doing it once or twice. The way of the world is that people are going to take less smarter options in test cricket. And when you look at that, less smarter options versus less smarter options is going to nullify one's other advantage. The one thing I would genuinely be concerned about is the fact, what after Bumrah? What after Mohammad Shami? Where's the bowling coming from? I think India's batting arsenal is completely intact, and you will keep throwing people left, right and center because of the volume of cricket and the number of cricketers that are coming up. However, to dominate test cricket just doesn't happen with the bat. It needs to happen with the ball. And that's where my concern would be. But having said all this, in England, the wickets are going to be flat. I would really think England giving helpful pitches is digging their own grave. So in my view, England's going to play on flat, placid pitches. Joe Root is a point of concern. How many games will Bumrah play? Can we knock him over? That's exactly where the series is going to be decided. But it's quite a far distance away right now.
Of course, Deepda and Ashwin, you both are now retired cricketers, international cricketers for Ashwin.
Ashwin's not as yet. He's retired from one format.
That's why I mentioned international. As part of storytelling, yes, of course, you do give that emotional message to your families and share the moment with them. I was there in that GABA press conference room when Ashwin suddenly decided to call it quits. And it was an emotional moment for all of us who were present as part of the media. How tough is that conversation with yourself? I'm going to leave, there will be no morning routine from tomorrow onwards. It's a personal decision, although if you want to go for a jog or not. But how tough is that conversation with yourself that, I'm not going to don that India jersey anymore?
Well, that wasn't a concern for me, I guess. That was more of an Ashwin issue. But for me, I guess, it's like you said, it's a personal thing. You just wake up one morning and you just decide, you're like, am I up for it? Do I still have that hunger in myself, waking up in the morning, going through the same things over and again, the grind? And I said, I'm done with it. And your question, Bori, about Rohit, Virat, obviously, they can carry on however long they want to. End of the day, it's about the selectors and their performance. It's not up to any one of us to decide who goes when. But I think at a certain age, and I guess Ashwin will understand and agree as well, you just want to see whether you still have that same hunger in you, the thing that I'm talking about. Whether you still want to wake up in the morning, go for your warm-ups and cool downs. That's something that got to me, man. I'm happy to go to the gym and do workout and all that, warm up before a game. So things like that, I mean, are you still, and looking at Virat especially, he spent a few days with Sanjay as in Bangar, and the way he got those, I mean, the 100 and the 84, it's like old school Virat kind of hundreds, right? 7-4s or 8-4s running in that Dubai heat and all of that. So that's what you want to see, whether they still have that hunger in them. And listen, their benchmarks are way up there, right? For them to maintain that. And at this age, you need to work doubly harder. I mean, they're not 26, 25 anymore. So as long as they have that hunger, they'll keep performing, they'll keep scoring runs. But that question can only be answered by them. They can only answer for themselves, looking at the mirror saying, do I still have it in me? Can I still kind of, I'm ready to, grind it out there. And as long as they're happy to do it, yeah, I mean, who's going to stop them?
Last 5 minutes on this panel, I'll ask Ashwin this one. Back at home, Chennai Super Kings, MS Dhoni, Mr. Srinivasan, yellow, whistle podu, IPL. Tell me, emotionally, Chennai Super Kings kept pushing the paddle up. They were determined to get you back. You're back there now. Tell me about the emotion of going out there and doing it for your fans. That's where it started. That's where it come to.
Firstly, MS Dhoni, Mr. N. Srinivasan and R. Ashwin, all of us are older than what we met the last time together. None of us are the same age since last played for CSK. Look, it's an unbelievably good feeling. And for someone in 2008, when I wore the CSK jersey for the first time, I think I recently said this story also. I was wearing the CSK jersey and I was going to the team hotel, and I just bought a car then. So I lowered the windows in the traffic signal. I was getting late for the meeting. And I asked the bike wala in front of me to move aside because the signal had turned green. It was going to be turning red any moment. And I was like, can you move? And he said, what's the hurry? I said, I need to go for the game. He said, I'm also going for the game. I said, no, I'm not going for the game like you. I'm going for the team meeting. And he said, and I showed my jersey, I'm going for the team meeting. I said, keep quiet. I had to roll my windows back. From there to actually go all around the country, play for CSK, be a player of the tournament, man of the series, head out. There's been a lot that's run under the, there's been a lot that's gone through in our lives, everybody's individual lives. MS wanted to always come back to CSK ever since that episode. He came back to CSK, won a title the first year. Mr. Srinivasan has come a long way. The man has done so much for cricket and cricketers, and now his health has suffered a wee bit. I meet him now and then. It is a totally an emotional connect for me, and the best part is I never thought my daughters would be seeing me in those colors, because those were memorable days for me. To see me wear the yellow and come back and play in front of my home ground should be a matter of pride for all my entire family, my parents, my kids, my wife, everybody put together. But all said and done, I must confess that I've gone around the park a bit. I played for a few teams, and I will miss the Rajasthan Royals. It was home for me. It was like family. That's a team I absolutely loved playing for. I will miss a lot of people there. I will miss the team. Great bond. Everybody, every one of those people. Sometimes in peak summer, when you play the IPL, even if it's your closest to families and the people that you love, you can get irritated because of the heat. So there have been times that I've gotten irritated with a few people doing shoots at RR, but those are people I'll so dearly miss. And coming back to CSK and having these conversations, the other day, most of the people haven't turned up. Jaddu hasn't come, Dubey has just arrived and all that. Some of the foreigners haven't come. I saw a lot of those cricketers and they were all very young and literally 2 decades away from me. And I was like, oh my goodness, I feel a part of the support staff, which is something I felt when Rahul was also at helm. I used to sit at breakfast tables with Vikram Rathore and Rahul Dravid and all of them. I used to be completely in tune and a part of them. But unlearning and learning and being a part of the next generation is something I want to do. I want to be able to go out with my daughters one day and have, shake a leg in the dance floor. That's what I want to do. I never would come across as a personality like that for you all, but away from the sport, I'm completely chilled and relaxed. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to shaking a leg with some of the young ones and also doing a few old dances with MS and probably with Mr. Srinivasan. Look forward to it. A total happy moment for me.
That dance would be great in my opinion. But Ashwin, Deepda, for one final question of this session. Of course, Champions Trophy final is upon us, India, New Zealand. Rohit Sharma, another final, another ICC final. For Ashwin, who has shared that dressing room with Rohit. For Deepda, who have interviewed Rohit, who have seen Rohit grow as a captain, as a player over the years. What will this Champions Trophy, if India wins it, add to the legacy of Rohit Sharma? And your words on Rohit Sharma as the captain, as the leader, and as the storyteller in that dressing room.
Oh my God, nice. It's easy to narrate a story that you're that you know you're very close to, right? Like even when India won the 24 T20 World Cup, it felt very close. I felt very close to the team because I've been a part of the journey and I know what that team means to both Rahul and Rohit. And Rohit was, I shed a tear for them, and that was something that I don't do very often. But you know, Rohit is a lovely guy. He's a very happy-go-lucky guy, and he emotionally bonds with people. For him, it's a personal connect over just looking at. It's a very interesting statement. Like in the recent times, ever since the advent of IPL, for a lot of people, a player means a commodity. X, if there's no X, it means X plus 1. If there's no X plus 1, you get a Y. Somehow we all tend to forget the human aspect to the particular player, right? The player just doesn't win you. It's like Moneyball. Sometimes the numbers don't win you trophies. It's the person that wins you the trophy. How does Chennai or Mumbai get the best out of their players when push comes to shove? It's because they're able to see the human side of somebody and able to invigorate them in that particular direction. So for me, this Champions Trophy, honestly, looking at the outside, looking at the inside, and also having gone through it, having had conversations, there's only one thing that I would want for Rohit, Virat, or Gigi, or anybody for that matter, is to say it doesn't mean anything. You've been in 3 or 4 back-to-back ICC finals, and India is on the cusp of doing something extremely special in a landscape which has been dominated by Australia when I was growing up as a kid. To say now that India is a superpower is a matter of immense pride. I would just say hold your head high because these things can go right or wrong on a particular given day. At the end of the day, it's sport and it teaches you so much. I'm very nervy about this final, to be honest. 4 or 5 days ago when India smashed Australia, I was thinking India is going to sail through. But the way New Zealand have played and knowing New Zealand, I am a bit nervy, to be honest. And that could be nerves. As a cricketer, the cricketer in me is still not out completely. So I'm feeling nervy about it. But India's got the arsenal to really pull away very quickly if they get things right on that day. So for me, Rohit and Gigi and whoever it be, the attachment is the worst thing in life, right? We shouldn't attach ourselves to anything. If we end up attaching too much on this trophy, and that's when it can consume you. You don't know when it can consume you. So I would say just go out and enjoy it. It could be a last final, maybe not, who knows? Or could be a definitely not from them, but I don't know about all that. But I'm looking forward to a cracking final. 2 well-deserved teams are in the final. Like Deep said, the one thing that you admire about New Zealand is the fact that they don't complain, they get on with it. They utilize their resources to the hilt, maximize their skills, and play some wonderful cricket. I don't think any other team would have done what they did in India recently when they beat us in the Test series. So it's going to be a cracking contest, and I'm looking forward to watching a wonderful contest, yes.
Yeah, quickly with Rohit, I think every captain leaves a legacy behind. Rohit's legacy, it's not going to be trophies and all, at least for me. His legacy would be how he's changed how batters approach white ball cricket. Post 2022 T20 World Cup, we've been, there was a lot of criticism about batters being conservative and all. He's changed that. I think that's going to be his legacy, not the number of trophies that he's won. How now batters approach white ball cricket in India. I think that's his biggest contribution to Indian cricket. And listen, Rohit is, obviously, I think the first time I met him was under 19, 2004 or something at NCA. And I don't think he's changed much, and Ash will know better than I do. I mean, I think he's still that Borivali guy, man. I mean, yeah, so that's going to be his legacy. That's how I'm going to remember Rohit, the batter, and obviously Rohit, the captain, and his legacy as a captain. And listen, New Zealand, the finals, I mean, God, that's going to be a tough one. I thought they did really well, even though they lost that league game, the last one. I thought their purpose wasn't really to win it, was also to suss out India's strengths and how, Varun, how he bowls and stuff like that. I think they're a lot smarter than we give them credit for. So I think they'll be much better prepared for the finals with a better plan. And listen, they look at their top 6, 7. I think they've got one of the best batters against spin, right? Versatile, bowling-wise, very good. I don't know about Matt Henry. That'll be a big miss, and I hope he's available. But yeah, I mean, they're a very, very good side. And like Ash said, yeah, you've got to feel a little nervy about it.
Yeah, and perhaps the best fielding side also in the competition with Glenn Phillips doing what he's doing. Okay, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just finish with one personal story. Ravichandran Ashwin and Deep Das Gupta. All of you know, I went through what I went through for 2 years, right? A ban and everything and the controversy. We were coming back from Birmingham. And according to the terms of the ban, I was not supposed to interview or speak to international cricketers at that point in time. As luck would have it, neither of us did it. We were both next to each other, seated by Emirates in a flight back from Birmingham to Dubai. I was on my way to Calcutta. Ashwin was coming back and going to Chennai to play the TNPL. And as it happened, we were next to each other. We looked at each other and he said some warm words to me and I said, I need to get my seat changed. And he said, are you mad? I said, yes, because I don't want someone to come and photograph me with you and then say I've broken the terms of the ban. And both of us felt it was uncomfortable. So I did get my seat changed. After we landed in Dubai, I was actually waiting for my colleague Trisha Ghoshal. She was coming out and we would take the flight for Calcutta. Ashwin was standing at the top of the elevator. He had no reason to, the escalator. He was standing on top of the escalator and I went up. He was standing there for me. He had a flight to catch within 1 hour. And I said, why are you standing here? And he said, look, all I wanted to say is you are good for sport. This will pass. Wanted to give you a hug. Say that I'm with you and I leave now. Ravichandran Ashwin. That night when I was going through what I was going through, very few people, and by the way, for my birthday, now today, since last night from midnight, I've got hundreds and hundreds of messages. 2 years back, I got hardly any message, and that's fine by me. It sort of allowed me to grow. One of the very people who messaged me and called me at midnight, even then and now, ladies and gentlemen, Deep Das Gupta. On that note, Ravichandran Ashwin, you will forever remain a favorite. I miss you here. And as we discussed, every year there will be the CSK camp, so we must find another time to get you to Calcutta and do a physical event. You've promised me that. Thank you very much for your time.
Sorry, I couldn't be there, but I definitely make it up the next time. I did promise it, so yeah. Thank you once again.
Thank you once again. And I know you've got a practice session to go to, so thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much. May I please request Kaushik Ghosh and Sabina Chopra to come on stage to do the felicitation for Deep Das Gupta, please. Can I have Kaushik Ghosh? Is Kaushik there? Kaushik nahi? Okay, is Kaushik there? Because Kaushik was supposed to do. Is Vijay there? Professor Ravikesh there? Is Vijay there? Professor Ravikesh there? Let's get him on stage to do the felicitation, please. Professor Ravikesh Srivastav, Vice Chancellor of Vijay Bhumi University. May I please have you on stage, sir, to do the felicitation for this particular panel. And আমরা তো নেব দীপ চিন্তা করো না তুমি চিন্তা করো না let's have a photo up with Deep and Professor Srivastav. Come. Joy? Done. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are a little late, but that's fine because technology and 15 minutes into the session, the technology was sorted out and we could all hear Ravichandran Ashwin properly. I'm conscious of that. Moving on to the next one, transforming the funding landscape for Indian sport, one of the more important sessions, as you can understand, because funding is critical, absolutely critical going forward. Some very important people on this particular session. We need a couple more chairs on stage, ladies and gentlemen. Can we get that done, Rajada? Let's get that done. Paralympic champion, world champion, sports secretary, government of Uttar Pradesh, man who was at the forefront of organizing the Mahakumbh. How does he do it till midnight and then goes and trains and then goes and wins a Paralympic medal and makes Indian tricolor go up? He's a phenomenon in his own way. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Suhas Yathiraj. If there's one company which has backed me from day one, my show Backstage with Boria has been supported by this particular company from day one. This is a bond that has taken Indian sport and us forward. I hope that this continues because we will create some great narratives for sport. Put your hands together for the head of HS Federal Life Insurance, the Managing Director and CEO, Jude Gomes. As I said, one of the best academics in sport and business going around in the world. Most published, one of the most respected. Put your hands together for Professor Vijay Pereira. If there's one document that you want to read as part of the conclave, take a look at your delegate pack and read the white paper that they've produced on sports law and the sports bill. Put your hands together for the founder of Game Changer Law Advisors, Amrut Joshi. We need two more chairs. Yeah, two more chairs, please. Joining Amrut on stage, again, someone extremely distinguished in the sports law domain. Put your hands together for Akshay Modi. And to moderate this session, my dear friend and co-founder of Rev Sports, Prantik Mazumdar, joining him, Abhijit Deshmukh. Is Abhijit there? Yes, please. All of you. Prantik, over to you. I know I'm a bit delayed, but that's okay.
Thank you, Boria. Thank you so much. That was extremely entertaining when it came to storytelling from two legends. And from storytelling, we are now into this session going to be talking about solutions. You know, over the last couple of days, for folks that have been in the room, we've spoken about a lot of challenges. At Rev Sports as a media platform, our objective is to sort of spark debate and discourse about challenges in the sporting ecosystem. But this is one session where I assure you that we have sort of brought together people from different walks of life. There's an academic, there's a corporate CXO, and you know, Suhas, I always admire because you're the first ever IAS officer who's won a para medal. Ladies and gentlemen, we talk about being part of a system. Here is someone who balances both, being part of the system as an athlete as well as serving the nation. Amrut Joshi, my dear friend, he's a lawyer. He's the co-founder of a very successful law firm that does work in both sports law, tech and impact. And of course, Mr. Modi from Satwa, one of the best impact consulting firm in India, which does some fantastic work when it comes to sports and impact. And of course, my fellow moderator, Abhijit. So I'll get the ball rolling. You know, Amrut, I'll start with you. You've published a fantastic report there, and I urge all of you to read this. It's a 50-page dossier. But to me, what strikes and stands out the most is the fact that, you know, all of us complain that, you know, corporate India is not doing enough. You know, all of us as audiences and fans, we're not doing enough. There's a lot more money needed. But I think what's very important, and I think this document outlines, the fact that there are developments happening in the nation when it comes to various new funding models. So Amrut, my question is, something that caught my eye in that document is outcome-based funding mechanisms. There are lessons that we have learned from other nations. Prof, I'll get your views on that later as well. Tell us your thoughts on what are some of the new funding mechanisms that we are seeing in India today that corporates, foundations like OGQ can leverage. Your thoughts on that, please.
Thanks, Prantik. Pleasure to be here. I think, firstly, thank you for giving us a platform to share this report. So thanks, Boria, Prantik, and the entire team at Rev Sports as well. Yeah, I think the fundamental reason for us wanting to do this report was to explore solutions, as you just pointed out. And I think something that we heard from Viren himself yesterday is that it's very easy to complain, that the government is not providing enough funds for sport. But I think it is a lot more, I think it's a lot more difficult to actually envision solutions on how you can actually reduce the burden from the government. The government does not have to be the only stakeholder to support high performance or grassroots sport, especially in a country like India, where there are so many other social challenges that need to be resolved. You need to have a way for the government to work with other sections of the society, whether it's corporates, whether it's impact investors, whether it is federations and athletes. We all need to get together to try and find ways in which sport can be financed. And that's what we've tried to explore, saying what are these instruments of change that can actually transform the funding landscape. As for examples, we don't even need to look outside India. In India itself, there are so many examples of outcome-based contracts that have actually been formulated in other sectors, particularly education and skills. I think Akshay will attest to this more, but we've seen the piloting of one of the most successful development impact bonds called the Educate Girls Development Impact Bond, where there was actually a private foundation which actually became the outcome funder, and on the basis of an impact measurement agency arriving at certifying that certain predefined social outcomes had been met in terms of enrollment into schools, in terms of participation and learning outcomes of those students in a particular region in Rajasthan. And I think that was actually a huge success, which led to other such outcome-based contracts being developed. So there are different models. So a development impact bond is where a development agency is the outcome funder. A social impact bond, which is actually a very interesting concept, is where a government is actually an outcome-based funder. In both instances, you have a private investor which provides the risk capital, either in the form of loan or in the form of grants. And on the basis of an independent impact measurement agency certifying that certain social impact and financial impact has been achieved, so measurable social impact and measurable financial impact, then the outcomes funder pays back the risk investor the principal as well as an agreed return on their investment as well. So these are, I would say, some of the mechanisms that we are seeing not only from other regions in the world. They have obviously originated in countries like the UK and the US, but over the last 15 years, we've even seen examples of that happening in India as well.
Thank you, Amrut, for enlightening us about these new developments. I want to get to, my next question is to Mr. Jude. We we've spoken a lot about corporate India. And I think Boria rightly said, I've seen right from day one, Aegis Federal backing an organization like Rev Sports. Once again, thank you for that. But I think what is also very important is your organization has been doing so much when it comes to ESG, when it comes to supporting, sustainability as well as sports. I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there are organizations that support athletes, teams, but Aegis Federal is one such organization that has backed para-badminton coach, Mr. Gaurav Khanna, who's obviously very, very celebrated. His athletes have won us many, many medals. So that's a lighthouse, that's a beacon of hope, that it's not just about supporting the athlete when they win, but also supporting the ecosystem. Sir, your thoughts on the motivation and the vision of Aegis Federal behind supporting not just the sport, but also coaches and the ecosystem?
Thank you for this. And first of all, to all the wonderful ladies in the room, a happy International Women's Day. And it's an incredible journey which we go hand in hand. So a big hats off to all of you, and thanks for your presence. At Aegis Federal, apart from the business which we do, one of the key purpose is also to provide support to the less privileged, to the underprivileged, to the sports fraternity, to those people, those who are supporting this in a big way. Having said what we've done, you've just mentioned about the Gaurav Khanna Foundation. So when we extended support to this foundation, the purpose was, it was a CSR initiative, and the purpose was to extend support so that they can coach girls for badminton, and it was a celebration of humanity from our side. And if you've seen that, we are pleasantly surprised the number of accolades and medals which this team has actually won for India. So it's a huge achievement. So we are more than happy to support such initiative. Again, as an organization, we believe in sustainability. Sustainability is embedded in the business, at the core of the business in which we do. And as an organization, also what we have done is that we've taken a conscious call to support the empowerment of the girl child, which we believe helps the upliftment of the society and is a transition towards a more inclusive and a more sustainable world, which includes our support to the less privileged, to the sports fraternity, and to the marginal people, those who need our support. Thank you.
Absolutely incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for that sort of work, because Amrut, to your point, I mean, that's a classic example of supporting sports, not just for the medals, but for development. And Akshay, that brings me, to my next question. At Satwa, you guys have been doing such wonderful work with corporates, advising them on where to invest their CSR dollar. But a particular stat that caught my attention was, out of, we've been talking about CSR, but ladies and gentlemen, it's a startling fact that out of all the CSR rupees or dollars that corporate India today, spends, only about 1.25% goes to sport. Only 1.25%. So that's a minuscule amount, but I hear that we are in the right direction. It's growing at a pretty decent clip. So any trends or thoughts on CSR in sports? What are some trends that you're seeing? A message to our corporate audience here?
Very good afternoon to all of us. I think whilst we discuss about CSR, just want to place CSR in the context of the kind of contribution CSR is making. For example, for the 9 years for which we have data around how much CSR money has been spent across sectors, the total contribution has been around 1.84 lakh crores has been a contribution of CSR in the first 9 years of the existence of the law. At the same time, last month's GST collections was 1.77 lakh crores. So just placing it in the context that whilst CSR has emerged as an important source of financing, but still, it is still a very minuscule part of the larger corpus that can be perhaps be influenced towards sports for development. And in that light, the question to perhaps ask is, how can this contribution being made by CSR be made more catalytic? And which is kind of goes back to the point which Amrit was making, that how else can we perhaps look to leverage the relatively smaller amounts that we are getting, but creating deeper and more sustainable impact out of it. What we have seen is that two major trends or two major models of CSR funding which has emerged. I would like to call them as CSR as a means, or say sports as a means and sports as an end. So for example, sports, we all understand, is playing a major role as far as development outcomes from a healthcare point of view, from an education point of view. So a lot of good non-profits are undertaking programs towards leveraging education, leveraging sports as a means to further, say 21st century skills, or building teamwork, or building, say, communication skills. For example, when a kid perhaps learns, calculates, say, the strike rate, right? I mean, do you call it a sports assignment or do you call it a maths assignment, right? That's how kids can perhaps learn in one sense. So this is one kind of initiatives which a lot of corporates are spending, which is sports as a means to an end. And the other is, say, a lot of corporates coming and supporting, say, talent in terms of sports development for, I think, national competitions, international competitions, Olympics, etc. And these are two models that are kind of emerging. And finally, I think there's a traditional model of, say, the Tatas, which have been undertaking programs since a very, very long time in terms of building heavy infrastructure, etc. Those are the original kind of people who have been starting doing this. But more recently, these are the two things that we've been seeing more of later.
Thank you. So I think that GST comparison was a good one, and clearly what you're saying is we are moving in the right direction, and the need to look at sports as a holistic mechanism, not just from a lens of winning medals, but national development. Abhijit, your questions.
Yep. I think we have a legend of Indian para badminton here, Suhas Yadhiraj, the only Indian para badminton player to win back-to-back medal at the Paralympics. Please, round of applause for it. Suhas, we all talk about the funding that comes from the corporate, but I think government has also played a crucial role. I want to talk about the top scheme, the Target Olympic Podium scheme. Of course, you have seen and witnessed the journey how it has been. Do you think it started like about 9 or 10 years back? I remember in 2015. Do you think it has been a bit of game changer for the athletes?
Yes, it has. Firstly, thanks for the hospitality. Kolkata is always special. जब हम लोग स्कूल कॉलेज में थे तो पढ़ते थे कोलकाता के बारे में, तो last time when I came for the event, I think that's for the first time I ever came to Kolkata and had sandesh. I always wanted to have sandesh in Kolkata. It's a very special place. And coming now to, I'll talk about tops. Before that, let me set the platform as to how funding happens in sports. I am coming from Hyderabad. I just landed yesterday night, wherein the government of India is having a Chintan Shivir, where the sports minister, union sports minister, and all the sports ministers of different states and the secretaries. So we are having a 2-day workshop. I am heading or convening a committee on sports infrastructure and public-private partnership. I'll talk about the learnings that we have had. Sports के लिए finance ना दो तरीके से होती है. एक तो है corporate social responsibility. Why? Because the Companies Act mandates कि a certain percentage of profit can go towards these areas which are allowed, and उसमें Olympic sports and sports which are played in rural areas. So the corporates can spend money, and very rightly, and we need to applaud all the corporates who are sharing a certain percentage of profits through CSR. ये तो एक हो गया. और दूसरी बात है जिसको गवर्नमेंट अभी बहुत एक्टिवली कंसिडर कर रही है, जिसके लिए आई एम ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ द कमिटी, दैट इज हाउ डू वी इन्वॉल्व द कॉर्पोरेट्स टू bring them in so that they consider sports sector as a form of investment. मैं बस एक डेटा देता हूँ. अगर आप ये हमारी देश की अगर स्टेडियम्स जो in more than 400 cities, in the heart of the cities, whether it is metro cities or district headquarters, the value of the stadium itself is the investment, so to speak, जो उसका worth है, it's more than 2 lakh crores. सो कॉर्पोरेट्स इन्वेस्ट कब करेंगे स्पोर्ट्स में? वो तब करेंगे कि जब उनको लगेगा कि भाई अगर इफ आई इन्वेस्ट 10 रुपीज आई विल गेट अ रीजनेबल प्रॉफिट. सो द लर्निंग हैज बीन, इफ वी वांट टू क्रिएट अ स्पोर्ट्स इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, सो सिर्फ स्पोर्ट्स इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर से उतना रेवेन्यू रिकूप करना प्रैक्टिकली मुश्किल है. अगर किसी को कंपनी को हम बोल दें कि आप स्टेडियम बना लो और उससे आप टिकटिंग से या उससे रेवेन्यू कमा लो, इट इज़ प्रैक्टिकली डिफिकल्ट. सो देन वन ऑफ द सॉल्यूशंस इज यू कंबाइन स्पोर्ट्स विथ हॉस्पिटैलिटी and then leasing and then education, the commercial / residential sectors. That is, you essentially are exploiting जो sports से जो value आती है उसके अगल बगल में एक ecosystem create होती है. This has been done successfully in so many metro cities, so many हमारी urban landscape में किया गया है. So you involve the private partners to actually क्रिएट वैल्यू. जैसे आप लोग एक्सप्रेस वे हाईवे में जाते हैं, यू आर गिविंग द टोल 50 रुपये 100 रुपीज़ पहले नहीं था, बट नाउ यू हैव क्रिएटेड बेटर एक्सप्रेस वेज एंड नाउ यू आर गेटिंग बेटर वैल्यू फॉर मनी. दैट्स हाउ इन स्पोर्ट्स सेक्टर ऑल्सो, क्योंकि आज की तारीख में जनता फिटनेस कॉन्शियस है and everybody wants to be involved in sports because it makes you a better person physically and mentally. And the second point is, एक तो स्पोर्ट्स इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का हो गया, और दूसरा एथलीट को जो फंडिंग की बात है, एक तो वो CSR रूट हो गया कि जो डिफरेंट फाउंडेशंस करती है, और दूसरा जब तक हम लीग्स क्रिएट नहीं करेंगे, आप देश की सबसे रिचेस्ट लीग्स कौन सी है? डू यू नो विच इज द रिचेस्ट लीग इन द वर्ल्ड? NFL, नेशनल फुटबॉल लीग इन यूएस इज द richest league in the world. आप सुपर बाउल के बारे में आप सुने होंगे. And then you look at the baseball leagues, the European Premier League. What have they done that we can learn from? जो इंडिया भी है टॉप 10 में, इंडिया में एक लीग है टॉप 10 में, that is Indian Premier League. तो what have these leagues done? They have packaged content to create entertainment and value for the consumer, that is the viewer. जहाँ पे consumers और viewers है, वहाँ automatically corporates will come. आप कहेंगे कि साहब नहीं है, तब भी वो bid करेंगे, नहीं हमें आना है. So therefore we have to create value. If we create value for the consumer, if we package it well, जैसे आपने कहा कि yesterday I was speaking to the CEO of Tops. So one of the things that they have already done tremendously well. What have they done? That they have given personalized support to athletes. जो पिछले कुछ सालों में आई थिंक मोस्ट ऑफ द ओलंपिक एंड पैरालंपिक मेडलिस्ट, वो टॉप्स का मतलब होता है टारगेट ओलंपिक पोडियम स्कीम. जो ओलंपिक पोडियम में जाने की क्षमता रखते हैं उनको एक पर्सनलाइज्ड सपोर्ट देते हैं. एक तो जो गवर्नमेंट सपोर्ट है, एंड देन दूसरा जब तक हम वैल्यू क्रिएट नहीं करेंगे इन टर्म्स ऑफ revenue generation for the private sector, and government will always be equity partner. क्योंकि अगर सरकार अगर land दे रही है या कुछ भी दे रही है, government will be equity partner. We have to bring in the corporates for infrastructure creation and also for athlete support by making it a better form of entertainment.
I think आपने बहुत अच्छी तरह से mention किया how the NFL and the European leagues does that. My question is to Mr. Pereira. I think he mentioned about the European leagues. One of the most popular football club, FC Barcelona, as you know, it's a crowd-funded as well. So you think that could be one of, you know, thing. I know, like, you know, the corporates are doing their best, but I think is that also option to start that in India and maybe try the funding new option?
Thank you for that question. I think strategically speaking, we are at a stage where we are looking at different models outside. And then thank you, Amrut, for this paper. I believe we are at the right time to find the correct model for India. And when I say again, within India, we have different states. Okay, so let's say 32 states. And each state comes up with a white paper. Okay, we have platforms such as, you know, Trailblazers 3.0, where these discussions are happening. We need to take it to the next level. We need research, we need evidence, we need data, we need conversations with different stakeholders. We need to then come up with possible and plausible solutions. You know, of course, you know, as we rightly say, we have the CSR route, we have the corporate route. Now the two of them have begun to talk to each other. What about the FDI route? Okay, if India want to become a $5 trillion economy, and we have started operations, my school, Kedge Business School in Karjat, we are going to work very closely with the government of Maharashtra, who want to make it a 2 trillion economy. Okay, therein, when at the grassroots levels of talks, needs how do we get funding, how do we start the conversation with the corporates and the other stakeholders in terms of moving it from ideation, because there's no fast fixes, okay? So I think we need white papers, and we, last year, along with Borea Rev Sports, we started the first business and sport academic conference in France that coincided with the Paris Olympics. This year, on the 10th and 11th of October, we are hosting the second Sport and Business Academic Conference in IIM Indore. Almost 100 global minds will attend that, and one of the key topics will be how do we find models of funding for India. I mean, strategically speaking, you have the best practices from the world. This is what is happening. What is currently happening here in India, and what are the different ways in which we can generate these ideas. And I think probably the white paper with the Tatas and so on and so forth, this body of knowledge should lead to something concrete going forward. And in the afternoon session, we'll talk more about operationalizing and more practical terms of models. But I think we are at the crossroads where it's uncertain. We have different models floating around, but we need to capture it to see then what can be replicated. Let's say, do we go with the Orissa model? Do we want to go down the Maharashtra model? What exists in different states as of now? What exists at the centralized level? We have no information. So information is going to be very information. Collating the information, then drawing from that what are going to be the best models going forward. So FC Barcelona is one of the best practice models, but is that the one that we are going to go down in India? We're not sure.
No, thank you. I think that's important context of what works for India. And Suhas, उस पे एक सवाल आपने बहुत अच्छे तरह से समझाया कि इंडिया में स्पोर्ट्स फाइनेंस कैसे होता है. एक यूजुअल आर्गुमेंट होता है कि इंडिया में एक चैलेंज दिक्कत ये है कि इट्स अ स्टेट्स मैटर. तो आपने उड़ीसा मॉडल के बारे में बात करा. इज दैट अ बिग चैलेंज कि अगर नेशनल डेवलपमेंट की बात कर रहे हैं, कैन वी लीव स्पोर्ट्स टू फॉर द डिफरेंट स्टेट्स टू ऑपरेट एट डिफरेंट लेवल्स उनके हिसाब से, और शुड इट समहाउ बी सेंट्रलाइज्ड? क्योंकि जाहिर सी बात है कि अगर ऑन अ पॉलिटिकल लेवल यू विल ऑलवेज फाइंड कि जिस स्टेट्स में द सेंट्रल की सत्ता जो वहाँ पे पावर में है, वहाँ पे लॉजिकली फंडिंग ज़्यादा हो सकती है. योर थॉट्स ऑन दिस?
In fact, one of the topics that was discussed yesterday by Honorable Union Sports Minister was this very topic that you are mentioning. How do we align all the states and the central government's policies towards a common goal? Common goal क्या है? हम सब इस बात पे तो सहमत होंगे कि 2036 में इफ एंड व्हेन भारत में ओलंपिक्स होगा और पैरालंपिक्स होगा, वी वुड वांट द मैक्सिमम नंबर ऑफ मेडल्स. यस और नो? अरे बोलिए थोड़ा सा, यस और नो?
यस यस
यस. एवरी स्टेट वुड वांट कि उनके एथलीट्स को मैक्सिमम मेडल्स आए. यस और नो? कोलकाता वुड वांट कि वेस्ट बंगाल के मेडल्स आए. सो द एंड गोल इज सेम कि हमारी ओलंपिक्स में और पैरालंपिक्स में मैक्सिमम मेडल्स देश को आए. ये सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट चाहती है, स्टेट्स को आए, वो आप लोग चाहेंगे और हर सरकार चाहेगी. सो नाउ ईच स्टेट माइट हैव डिफरेंट आइडिया टूवर्ड्स हाउ टू अचीव दिस. ये इट इज़ नॉट नेसेसरी दैट एक स्टेट की जो आइडिया है वो ही बेटर है. व्हाट माइट वर्क इन UP might not work in Kolkata, or something else might work in Mumbai. So we need to study and then adopt best practices that is applicable to us. And one more important aspect of this is talent identification. टैलेंट आइडेंटिफिकेशन का मतलब है कि अभी एक और हम इवेंट में जहाँ बोरिया ही ये कर रहे थे, एंकर कर रहे थे कि इंडियन फुटबॉल टीम के कोच थे, क्रोएशिया के थे. एंड वो बता रहे थे कि क्रोएशिया इज़ अ वेरी स्मॉल कंट्री, और वहाँ इतनी ज़्यादा वो फुटबॉल वर्ल्ड कप्स में, सॉकर वर्ल्ड कप्स में खेले हुए खिलाड़ी है कि हम जब उनसे यही बात हो रही थी कि वाई कांट इंडिया क्वालिफाई टू द सॉकर वर्ल्ड कप एंड मेक इट बिग. So then again it all comes down to whether in Olympics or most of the sports except few sports like cricket wherein talent identification बहुत हद तक होता है. रूरल एरियाज में, हमारी हिंटरलैंड्स में स्पोर्ट्स को, बाकी स्पोर्ट्स को उतना अट्रैक्टिव बनाए और उनको टैलेंट को आइडेंटिफाई करें. वन थिंग आई कैन मेंशन व्हाट वी हैव ट्राइड टू डू इन यूपी एज अ स्पोर्ट्स सेक्रेटरी. व्हाट आई हैव ट्राइड टू डू इज वी हैव, जैसे आप इंडियन प्रीमियर लीग बहुत बड़े लेवल पे होता है, हमने शुरू किया है कि उत्तर प्रदेश रूरल स्पोर्ट्स लीग. वी हैव चोजन 8 ओलंपिक स्पोर्ट्स, जो पॉपुलर, जो ओलंपिक स्पोर्ट्स इंडिया मेडल जीत सकती हैं. एंड एट व्हाट लेवल? जूनियर लेवल, सब जूनियर लेवल, एंड वी हैव स्टार्टेड एट द सीनियर लेवल ऑल्सो, बट वी हैव टू कैच देम यंग एंड देन you give them, जो लगभग you will be happy to know more than 3 lakh youth, they participated in this league. And then out of that we are selecting around 1,000 and we are going to try to handhold them. So जो finally the point is, जो आपने कहा कि देखिए डेस्टिनेशन तो वही है, ओलंपिक्स में हमें मेडल लेनी है, जर्नी, रास्ता अलग अलग हो सकती है.
Thank you so much. Very well articulated. Mr. Jute, I mean, the question is, he spoke about rural games and having focus beyond cricket and football, the major sports. Again, going back to your company, you've also backed sports like marathon. Yesterday we spoke a lot about marathon. So what are your thoughts when you look at sports as a whole, as a corporate, whether it's CSR or investments, you all probably take decisions on, which sport to back. You spoke about the badminton side, but why marathon? What's the thought behind that?
Yeah, so good question. And just to answer one point, that it is not always the ROI, right? When a company obviously spends money, it's not always, especially when you're helping and supporting a cause. So running itself, that movement itself has seen a complete revolution. And over the last 2 decades, if you've seen that, especially in India, it's seen a tremendous traction. And so it's not a spectator sport, it's a participative sport, it's a participatory sport. And the only thing is that when you run, you become more healthy. The society, the community becomes more healthy, so society becomes more healthy. So from our standpoint, it was all about empowerment of the individual so that we support him to have a more healthy life. That's what we wanted to do, and we would continue doing that. And AGS Federal was the first company in terms of life insurance, those who've supported the marathon across cities in India. And we've also figured out that it was a great platform for mass mobilization in terms of connecting with the people, reaching out to people, and actually communicating a very strong message, which was like, you stay healthy, the community, the society stays healthy, the country stays healthier, and it's a better country for all of us.
Fantastic. I'm going to get closing comments from the two experts here. And maybe, Mr. Modi, I'll start with you. I think Mr. Pereira spoke about data, right? I think whether it's CSR, whether it's impact, and this answer could be from sports or from the larger impact space. How do you guys help corporates from a measurement perspective? Because even if it's CSR, sure, it's not ROI as Mr. Jude said, but you still want accountability. So your thoughts or learnings on how can that be done well?
I think it's relatively harder for sports as an area. I mean, for example, when say somebody like Mr. Sagar just takes a decision on the spot to kind of, support Payal ma'am here, you don't measure an ROI. That's something which you take a call basis your gut feeling. It's the right thing to do. But for most companies, when they undertake CSR, they would want to kind of report it back, given that there are certain framework within which they have to kind of stick as far as the CSR law is concerned. I think one of the things that we therefore are able to do is to, again, coming back to the point of intersectionalities, that if sports is therefore leading to, say, an intermediate outcome, which is, say, improving in, say, 21st century skills, or, say, communication skills, or teamwork, for instance, that is something which you can still try to measure to some extent. And then using that as the indicator, you try to measure some other, end outcome of sorts. So typically when we undertake any, say, quote-unquote traditional program in healthcare or education, the linkage between an impact, from an input to an outcome is fairly straightforward. In sports, it's slightly harder, but that's a conversation which many more corporates are willing to have today as compared to 5 years back. But it's a journey, and I think one of the things that can be done is to try to see how much can we perhaps metricize this as much as possible. Of course, not all of it, because it will lose some of its nuance, but some effort towards metricization is still kind of required for the sector to grow.
Amrut, so good to see, Game Changers, a law firm, again, getting into the sports ecosystem, all thanks to Boria. My question is on the social stock that can be bring into the sports. Yeah. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think it's a very interesting mechanism that's just come about in the last couple of years. And we've seen, instances of eligible not-for-profit organizations actually issue what are known as zero coupon, zero principal bonds through the social stock exchange. So effectively, it is a new mechanism. The two most successful instances have been Ronnie Screwwala's foundation Swades and I think Unnati, which was the first one which raised money through the social stock exchange. The important point to note here as at this point in time is that it doesn't create, it's not a market making mechanism as such. And so therefore it is still more a credibility enhancing mechanism for not-for-profit organizations because they will then, firstly they need to stipulate what are the end users of the funds that they are looking to raise from the social stock exchange in their draft fundraising document. And also then there will be periodic reporting obligations post the issue closure, where they need to report, the outcomes that they have promised. And it's actually verified by a social impact auditor of sorts as well, right? So it's an interesting mechanism. It's still early days. I think 111 NPOs have registered on the social stock exchange till now, and I think of which only 10 have actually completed a listing of sorts. And yeah, the government is obviously doing its bit to open up this source of fundraising. But I think it will take some time, and I think with a bit of tweaking, it will be an interesting mechanism to track and to follow in the days ahead.
Maybe like GST, we will have a sports tag as well.
Yeah, possibly.
My last question to Suhas is, when athletes makes a name, जब नाम हो जाता है तो लगता है कि फंडिंग अब मिल जाएगा. एंड अभी देख रहे हैं काफ़ी सालों से कि एथलीट्स जो इंटरनेशनल पे जाते हैं, उनके पास फंड्स का इतना प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, दे गेट सपोर्ट. आई थिंक द इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज़ द ग्रास रूट्स. आपने जैसे कहा कि यूपी में अपने विलेज में वो एक काइंड ऑफ ओलंपिक्स जैसा आपने स्टार्ट किया है. ग्रास रूट्स कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है, एंड कॉर्पोरेट्स को, क्राउड्स को कितना इम्पोर्टेंट होता है कि ग्रास रूट्स पे पैसा लगे, क्योंकि एक बार नाम बन जाए तो शायद पैसा आ जाएगा, लेकिन जब नाम नहीं है, जब ज़रूरत सबसे ज़्यादा है, उस टाइम पे कितना इम्पोर्टेंट होता है.
देखिए, ये प्रकृति का नियम है कि जब आप कोई चीज़ हासिल करते हैं तो दुनिया तो आपको सलाम करती ही है. आप भी किसी कंपनी में काम करते हैं कि आपके सीईओ को, आपके बॉस को, देखिए सब सीईओ है यहाँ बैठे हैं, इनके जो सबऑर्डिनेट है तो वहाँ बैठे होंगे. ये प्रकृति का नियम है. जो कई लोग पूछते हैं कि भाई आप, कई पेरेंट्स सोचते हैं कि हम अपने बच्चों को स्पोर्ट्स में नहीं भेजना चाहते हैं. क्यों? इसलिए नहीं कि वो नहीं चाहते हैं कि उनके बच्चे स्पोर्ट्स में सक्सेसफुल ना हो, क्योंकि स्पोर्ट्स इनहेरेंटली एक हाई रिस्क हाई रिटर्न प्रपोजिशन है, या तो अर्श पे या तो फर्श पे. तो इसलिए कि जो स्पोर्ट्स लेना चाहते हैं कि वो तो आप अगर एक, आप सब इंटेलेक्चुअल ऑडियंस है, वैसे ही कोलकाता इंटेलेक्चुअल सिटी है, तो बट यहाँ तो और आसानी से आप समझेंगे कि अगर एक मीडियम इनकम लेंगे, मीडियम इनकम एक किसी कंपनी में काम करने वाले, जो लोएस्ट व्हाट एन एम्प्लॉय अर्न्स इन अ कंपनी टू कंपेयर दैट टू सीईओ, वो ठीक है, जो भी रेशियो होगा अगर बीच में होगा वो ठीक ठाक इनकम होगी. अगर यही स्पोर्ट्स में एक आप देखिएगा कि जितना रोहित शर्मा और विराट कोहली कमाते हैं और जितना एक क्रिकेटर उतने ही मेहनत करते होंगे, बट जो उतना नहीं कर पाए, नाम नहीं कर पाए, द डिफरेंस इज एक्सट्रीमली ह्यूज. देयरफॉर इफ यू टेक अप स्पोर्ट्स, यू शुड नो दैट इट इज अ हाई रिस्क हाई रिवॉर्ड गेम. अगर वो आप तैयार नहीं है तो देन इट इज बेटर नॉट टू एंड देन देखिए, ये जिंदगी का प्रकृति का नियम है. हमने यूपीएससी एग्जाम जब लिखा, यूपीएससी एग्जाम ने या आईआईटी जेईई एग्जाम लिखते हैं, कैट लिखते हैं, नीट लिखते हैं, जो ऐसी चीज़ होती है ना, वहाँ कंपटीशन बहुत ज़्यादा रहता है. कंपटीशन में गारंटी नहीं रहती है कि हमेशा हम सक्सेस ही पाएंगे. अगर यहाँ सक्सेस नहीं रहेगी तो कहीं और मिलेगी, बट देन वही तो है, लाइफ इज ऑल अबाउट जर्नी. नो, वी कैनॉट बी श्योर कि इसमें हमें हमेशा ही सक्सेस मिलेगा ही मिलेगा. बट हैविंग सेड दैट, गवर्नमेंट्स, जैसे हम लोगों ने कोशिश किया है कि टॉप्स की इक्विवेलेंट जो उतनी सक्सेसफुल नहीं हो पाते हैं, हम कोशिश करके उन लोगों को सपोर्ट करें. गवर्नमेंट्स डू, कॉर्पोरेट्स डू. आज की तारीख में इट इज़ बीन मच ईजियर एज कम्पेयर टू वॉट इट वॉज इन द पास्ट. क्योंकि आप बोरिया भाई भी वहाँ खड़े हो ही गए हैं, तो लास्ट में पॉजिटिव स्पिरिट का, क्योंकि एट द एंड ऑफ द डे इट ऑल कम्स डाउन टू पॉजिटिव स्पिरिट. मैं बस यही बताना चाहता हूँ कि see, at the end of the day, everything comes down to thoughts. Watch your thoughts, it will become your action. Watch your action, it will become your habit. Watch your habit, it will become your character. Watch your character, it will define your destiny. So thoughts to destiny. Thank you.
Super. Thank you so much, Suhas. No one could have said that better. As I said, I'm still amazed that you are driving change as an athlete and as someone who's part of the system. Ladies and gentlemen, the message is clear. Like I said, this session was all about positive thinking and solutions. You've seen the example of corporates backing, not just looking at the ROI. Mr. Pereira, you spoke about taking models from foreign countries but adapting that to India. Amrut, Mr. Modi, you spoke about the various instruments of change. And Suhas, you're a living legend. Thank you for all that you do. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, just want to tell you that change is happening. Be part of the change. Thank you so much for listening.
Excellent. Absolutely special session once again. I was sitting there and listening to some of the points being made, and each time, I have to say this, each time I hear Suhas, I realize why he's a good IAS officer, and as Prantik said, one of the best people to listen to. You're an inspiration to me. You're an inspiration to me. And I remember that panel which you and I did.
Boria, I have to make the point, even though I said it last time, childhood में जब हम लोग cricket देखते थे, कि बोरिया की anchoring में खास तौर पे the way he creates crescendo, no other anchor does it. So huge round of applause to Boria.
Day before yesterday, Manu Bakar did a very fantastic mimicry of Boria as well.
All that is fine. Let's close this session. But yes, all of the people on stage. I mean, I'm grateful to the support because we are here to disrupt, and this is a professional commitment. Corporate India needs to support us. We need to support corporate India. We need to all get together for a vision that will transform Indian sport, not just cricket, but every possible sport, and that's what we are here for. 3 years, and look at what we have in front of us. Every session, chock-a-block, national media talking about it, people talking about this conclave. That's what the mission is, ladies and gentlemen. Talk about people, make change, be the harbingers of change, lead that movement, disrupt the narrative. May I please call upon Manish Jaiswal, Chief of Marketing and Sales, Tata Steel, to come forward, please, and felicitate this panel. And Suhas mentioned Rasgulla in Calcutta, so we've got special Rasgulla for the panelists as well. Thank you very much. By the way, Suhas, we arranged it in the last half an hour, so आपने कहा हम लोगों ने manage कर लिया. So this is baked Rasgulla, which apparently can be kept for 15 days now because of the packaging. So there you go. You can actually keep for 15 days. Yeah. Okay. Please. And thank God we are back on time because Saurav Ganguly has made Steve Waugh wait. I did not want to make Saurav Ganguly wait for too long. So we'll do pile and then we'll get Saurav and celebrate with Saurav as well. But all of you come forward please for a photo op. Chalo bhai. Yeah. Where's our photographer? Where's? Okay, good, perfect. Bhai tomar hole, give me a cue. Done? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks a lot. You know, now I know there is a Saurav Ganguly after this session. You've heard from Manu Bhakar, you have heard from Srijesh and Harmanpreet, you've heard from Cheteshwar Pujara and Venkatesh Iyer and multiple medalists. You've just heard from a great like Suhas Yatiraj. But in terms of emotion, nothing can match this one. The next panel, ladies and gentlemen, is a celebration, is a complete celebration. When I was first sent this video by Kuldeep and his wife Abhilasha, I was stunned. How can she do this? How can anyone do this? The world's first quadruple amputee archer, current national champion, on her way to perhaps winning a gold medal at the Asian Games and subsequently at the Los Angeles Games in 28. Ladies and gentlemen, miracles happen and you will see one right in front of you as we welcome on stage on International Women's Day celebrating Payal Nag along with Kuldeep Vedwan, her coach. Look at this, and Payal is one who is a symbol of empowerment and a symbol of what we stand for. Rohan Chaudhary to moderate this panel, please.
Hello everyone. So when Boryada told me to moderate this panel, I was quite nervous because when we were in Paris covering the Olympics and Paralympics, Kuldeep ji actually showed Payal's video and we were all stunned, and we decided to celebrate Payal on Trailblazers 3.0. World's first quadruple amputee archer, we had seen Sheetal Devi performing in the greatest stage. Sheetal says Matt Stoutman of USA to be her idol, and here is Payal who says Sheetal is her idol, and Payal recently defeated Sheetal in the national championship and won gold. Payal, welcome to Rev Sports Trailblazers 3.0. सबसे पहले आप बोलिए कि वो जो मोमेंट था डिफीटिंग योर आइडल शीतल इन द फाइनल ऑफ द नेशनल चैंपियनशिप कुछ महीने पहले जहाँ पे आपने गोल्ड जीता, वो मौका कैसा था, क्या बात हुई, एंड सर के बारे में भी कुछ बोलिए.
जय माता दी, जय जगन्नाथ. मेरा नाम है पायल नाग. मैं जब गई थी श्री माता वैष्णो देवी आर्चरी एकेडमी पे, तो वहाँ सब बच्चे के हाथ पैर थे, सब बच्चे हाथ में धनुष पकड़ के चलाते थे. मेरे तो पैर भी नहीं है, हाथ भी नहीं, आप लोग देख सकते हो. तो फिर मैं सोची कि मैं कैसे चलाऊं करके. तो फिर सर उसी दिन ही कहीं गए थे और आए थे. तो फिर मुझे सर बोले, मैं सर से पूछी कि सर मैं कैसे चलाऊं करके, मन उदास करके बोली थी सर को. तो तू बेटा चिंता मत कर, मैं हूँ, मैं तुझे चलवाऊंगा, इधर बुलाया हूँ तो मैं भी तुझे चलवाऊंगा करके. तो फिर मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई. फिर धीरे धीरे मेरे सब डिवाइस बनाए सर, खुद ही बनाए डिवाइस, और फिर मुझे ट्रेनिंग देने लगे. तो फिर मैं धनुष भी चलाने लगी, बीच बीच में प्रॉब्लम भी आने लगे, तो सर ही सभी ठीक किए. फिर मैं नेशनल खेलने गई, तो मैं वहाँ रैंकिंग में भी फर्स्ट आई. जब शीतल दीदी के साथ मेरा मैच आया तो मुझे लगा था कि मैं नहीं कर पाऊँगी, जैसे लगा था, क्योंकि वो तो आप सबको पता है बहुत बड़ी प्लेयर हैं. तो मुझे नहीं लगा था, मैं अभी भी प्रैक्टिस कर रही हूँ, तो मेरा फर्स्ट नेशनल था, तो मुझे लगा था मैं नहीं कर पाऊँगी. बट मेरे गुरुजी के विश्वास और मेरे गुरुजी के ट्रेनिंग के वजह से मैं वो भी करके दिखाई. तो फिर मैं सोची शीतल दीदी भी तो मेरे जैसे ही हैं, मेरे जैसे ही चलाते हैं. तो फिर मैं सोची ऐसे और मैं खेलूँगी करके. तो फिर मैं खेली. जब गोल्ड मेडल इंडिविजुअल में भी आया, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा, बहुत खुशी हुआ कि मैं एक ओलंपिक मेडलिस्ट को हराई हूँ. तो आगे भी मैं ऐसे और कई लोगों को हराऊँगी करके मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा.
Goosebumps moments for me, and I'm sure everyone in the audience is getting one. Kuldeep ji, lot of you were an inspiration. आपके जो स्टोरी हमने सुना है, आपको सेलिब्रेट किया है पेरिस में यहाँ पे, आप बोलिए आपको पायल कहाँ मिली, कैसे मिली, एंड द जर्नी विथ यू एंड पायल.
नमस्कार सभी को. पायल को जब मैं पहली बार देखा, तो मैंने ट्वीट के माध्यम से देखा. किसी ने पायल को ट्वीट किया हुआ था, तो मैंने इसका पिक्चर देख करके मुझे एहसास हुआ कि ये छोटी बच्ची है, इसको दोनों हाथ नहीं है, दोनों पैर नहीं है. और मेरी खोज थी ऐसी, मैं सोचता था ऐसा, क्योंकि मैंने बहुत सारे बच्चों के साथ काम किया है जो पैरा आर्चरी में आज देश को हर जगह मेडल दिला रहे हैं. तो जब मैंने शीतल देवी को सिखाया, जो वर्ल्ड की पहली आर्मलेस आर्चर है, और उसने वर्ल्ड में अपने आप को प्रूव करके दिखाया. एशियन गेम में उसने मेडलों की हैट्रिक लगाया और पैरालंपिक में उसने मेडल जीता. ऐसा वर्ल्ड में कोई प्लेटफॉर्म नहीं है जहां पर मेरे स्टूडेंट्स ने मेडल ना जीता हो. तो मैंने सोचा कि कुछ अलग किया जाए, ऐसे एक बच्चे की खोज की जाए, और वो मेरी खोज थी. और ऐसा सुनने में आया है और बहुत बार सुना है, और ये होता है कि हमारे बुजुर्ग कहते हैं कि जैसा आप सोचते हो ऐसा होता है. तो मेरी खोज थी पायल, कि ऐसा बच्चा कोई मिले जिसको ना दोनों हाथ हो ना दोनों पैर हो. और वो भगवान ने एक दिन मेरे सामने पायल को ला के रख दिया एक ट्वीट के माध्यम से. और वो ट्वीट था उस दिन, और मैं सीधा बलांगीर पहुंच गया. मैंने पता किया कि बच्ची कहाँ से है, तो मुझे पता चला कि ये बलांगीर उड़ीसा की रहने वाली है. तो वहाँ पे एक ऑर्फनेज में थी पायल, तो तो मैंने ऑर्फनेज के वहाँ पे जो इंचार्ज थे संस्कृति पटनायक जी, उन मैडम को रिक्वेस्ट किया। मैंने बताया कि मैं एक नेशनल कोच हूँ और देश को इंटरनेशनल में बहुत सारे मेडल दिलाए हैं, तो मेरा आपसे विनंती है, निवेदन है कि इस बच्ची को आप मेरे साथ भेजें। मैं श्री माता वैष्णो देवी श्राइन बोर्ड कटरा जम्मू कश्मीर में वहाँ पे कोच हूँ। तो मैडम ने मुझे बोला कि सर बहुत अच्छा है, बहुत खुशी हुई मुझे सुन करके, लेकिन मुझे मतलब मैं नहीं भेज सकती पायल को, आप डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर से परमिशन ले। तो मैं तुरंत ही वहाँ के डिस्ट्रिक्ट कलेक्टर श्री चंचल राणा जी से जाके मिला और उन्होंने तुरंत प्रभाव से पायल को मेरे साथ भेजने का परमिशन कर दिया। और वो दिन था और आज का दिन है कि पायल जब मेरे पास गई, जैसे कि पायल ने बताया, ये बहुत घबरा गई। वहाँ पर इसने एबल बॉडीज एथलीट देखे, आर्चर देखे, जो दोनों हाथों से मतलब खड़े होकर के, जैसे आप सब देखे हैं कि दीपिका कुमारी, तरुणदीप राय, हमारे जो आज मतलब दिग्गज प्लेयर है, ओलंपियंस है, वो चलाते हैं। शीतल देवी पैर से धनुष चलाती है। तो ये बहुत घबरा गई। मैंने इसको समझाया, बेटे घबरा मत, अगर शीतल तीर चला सकती है तो पायल भी चला सकती है। तो जब नेशनल में ये पहली बार गई, वो पहला कंपटीशन था जयपुर में, और इसने रैंकिंग में गोल्ड मेडल लिया। वहाँ पर भारत के सभी दिग्गज पैरा प्लेयर थे, वहाँ पे रैंकिंग में गोल्ड मेडल लिया, और ओलंपिक राउंड में वहाँ पे ये नेशनल चैंपियन बनी शीतल देवी को हरा करके। और वो मेरे लिए एक बहुत मतलब मैं उसके लिए मेरे पास वर्ड नहीं है, क्योंकि जब एक कोच के ही 2 स्टूडेंट फाइनल में खेलते हैं तो उससे बड़ा कोई दिन नहीं हो सकता। तो गोल्ड, सिल्वर एंड ब्रोंज तीनों मेडल मेरे ही थे। तो ये पायल की जर्नी है, बहुत छोटी ही जर्नी है, और डेफिनेटली पायल एक दिन जो अपकमिंग पैरा एशियन गेम टोक्यो के, जापान के टोक्यो में होने वाला है, वहां पे देश को हैट्रिक मेडल दिलाएगी, हैट्रिक, ये मेरा विश्वास है।
पायल, जैसे सर ने बोला आपकी इस पूरी स्टोरी, आपका क्या अभी का लक्ष्य है, क्या टारगेट है? एशियन गेम्स आने वाला है एंड ऑफ कोर्स सबका टारगेट तो वही रहता है कि ओलंपिक्स पैरालंपिक्स में मेडल लाया जाए। आपका क्या ख्याल है?
मेरे देश को मैं अभी जो कौन सा गेम है, कौन सा नहीं, अभी जो आ रहा है, अभी जो आ रहा है एशियन गेम, उसमें भी मेरे देश को मैं ओलंपिक मेडल भी दिलाऊंगी, एशियन गेम मेडल भी दिलाऊंगी।
कुलदीप जी, पायल ने एक डिवाइस की बात की जो आपने खुद ने बनाया था उसका आर्चरी शूटिंग करने के लिए, उसके बारे में थोड़ा बताइए कि कैसे बनाया एंड आपका सोच क्या था?
बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है सर आपका। जब मैंने शीतल को, पायल को देखा, तो पहले जब डिवाइस की बात आई तो सबसे पहले मैं डिवाइस की बात करूंगा। जब मैंने शीतल को देखा तो सबसे पहले माइंड में यही आया कि कैसे मैं शीतल को तीर चलवा पाऊंगा। तो शीतल को मैं एक जूम मीटिंग के माध्यम से मिला। तो शीतल जम्मू कश्मीर के किश्तवाड़ की रहने वाली है, तो वहाँ की जो आर्मी की एक बटालियन ने जूम पर मेरी मीटिंग करवाई, और उस दौरान मैंने उसको बताया कि बेटे आप आ जाओ। तो मैं यहाँ छोटा सा एक मतलब बात शेयर करूँगा जो मैंने शीतल को कहा था कि आपने साइंस मैथ सभी सब्जेक्ट पढ़े होंगे, क्या किसी साइंस टीचर ने आपको ये कहा कि मैं आपको साइंटिस्ट बना दूंगा? बोलती सर नहीं, लेकिन मैं बेटे मैं कुछ बोल रहा हूँ, मैं आर्चरी कोच हूँ, और आप अगर आर्चरी में आए तो डेफिनेटली आपको इंटरनेशनल मेडलिस्ट बना दूंगा। और शीतल मेरे पास में जब आई थी, और आज का दिन है, 3 ही साल हुए हैं, शीतल ने ओलंपिक पैरालंपिक तक का मेडल और अर्जुन अवार्ड तक मतलब आज लेके बैठी है। तो वो डिवाइस की सहायता से ही, क्योंकि वो डिवाइस ही जिससे शीतल तीर चलाती है, वो डिवाइस मैंने ही बनाया है। और पायल को तो दोनों हाथ ही नहीं है ना दोनों पैर है, तो वो डिवाइस भी मैंने ही बनाया है। और वो पायल को देखते हुए आज वो डेफिनेटली उस डिवाइस के साथ पैरालंपिक में मेडल जीतेगी। थैंक यू।
Ladies and gentlemen, Kuldeep Vedwan and Payal Nag.
You know, for me, sport is always about moments. And I told you this will be, yes, we have Saurav Ganguly in the house, the greatest leader Indian cricket has seen, but to celebrate Payal Nag, to celebrate athletes who have broken every barrier, miracles happen. And by the way, Payal Nag is from Bolangir, And we have the leader of Bolangir here with us, the president of the National Rifle Association of India, Kalikesh Singhdeo. So I will invite Kalikesh and Saurav, because to felicitate Payal, the world's first quadruple amputee archer, who has now beaten Sheetal for a national championship and will win perhaps the Los Angeles gold. I'm sure Saurav and Kalikesh will also remember this moment. Saurav has done all of this all his life, but this will be special for him. The world's first quadruple amputee archer, ladies and gentlemen, Payal Nag on International Women's Day. Saurav Ganguly and Kalikesh Singhdeo on stage. And I'm delighted to say Sagar Daryani has already said Wow Momo will sponsor Payal Nag. Folks, आप आओगे सामने? Rubina kyo deke no? Is Rubina around? Then get her on stage, please. Yeah, please. Ron. Saurav to Payal and Kalikesh to Kuldeep as well. The story of the conclave, the moment of the conclave. We disrupt inclusivity, sensitivity, and sport at its absolute best, ladies and gentlemen. And all of you for a photo up, please. Saurabh, Kuldeep, Kalikesh, Payal, and Rohan. All of you step forward. Oh, yeah, I'll actually join this one.
Oh, sorry. You know, we had heard of Payal and her achievements. I'm currently the MLA from Bolangir, and I've been twice the MP from Bolangir. And we are the proudest of her achievements as a sports person from my city of Bolangir. A big cheer to her, a big round of applause to her, ladies and gentlemen.
You've done everything in the world, but to see this, everyday miracles happen, barriers are broken, something.
You know, obviously I've not followed her much, but when you see such stories, you know, you realize that if you have the will and the determination, everything is possible. You know, nothing's impossible in this world, and she's a perfect example of it. You know, in sport and life, people go through a lot of hurdles. You know, we wins, losses. There are more losses than wins. There are more sad days than good days. And I think examples like this actually keep you going. And when you see them, you realize that, you know, there's good things around the corner. So it's a phenomenal effort to be what she has done. My congratulations, my affection, my love, my respect to you, and I hope you carry on doing the good work for the years to come.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together one final time for Kuldeep Vedwan and Payal Nag. Thank you very much. Saurav, if you stay on, or rather I'll call you back. I'll just call you back in a moment. Suhas, आप भी एक बार आ जाओ, ये फोटो एक बार एक साथ लेते हैं. Shormishta, join this for the photo op, please. This is a special photo op. Go and stand next to Payal for International Women's Day, because we have to celebrate Payal. Kuldeep aap side mein aao. Yes, that's the photo op which will make Trailblazers special. Rubina kothay? Ashenni? Acha, thik ache. So we'll ask Saurabh to stay on. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. You can stay on and we'll continue. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Okay, help karo, okay. Aage Payal ke help karo. 2 chairs. Payal er sathe ekta chhobi tulbe, Rohan help kor. এই দাঁড়াও, ঘুরি এদিকেও করছি, দাঁড়াও এক মিনিট দাঁড়াও, আমি করছি, আমি এখানে নিয়ে এসে করবো, ডোন্ট ওয়ারি। कुलदीप एक बार इधर भी आइएगा, हाँ एक बार इधर। Thank you. Thanks. Now to our next session. This is an AGS Federal session, backstage with Boria session. with the country's, Indian cricket's best ever leader, someone I consider a very dear friend. He's done everything in the world. But the point is, for Indian cricket, I have asked Saurav practically every possible question on cricket. Obviously, I will ask him some more today. But I've called this session and I told him, by the way, he's flown in straight from Lucknow just now to attend this session. He was there at the WPL game with Delhi Capitals last night. So he has specially come to attend this session. And the title of the session is Saurav Ganguly on Saurav Ganguly, the problems of being Saurav Ganguly. The problems of being Saurav Ganguly in a state where we don't have superstars, we don't have anyone else to fall back on. All of us in the media will drive him mad day in, day out, but he deals with all of that. So ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you the one and only Dada, Saurav, leader, captain, friend, mentor, everything else that you can call it, Saurav Ganguly on Saurav Ganguly.
Thank you, Boria.
Boloto, let's start with this only. How is it being Saurav Ganguly, hounded every day, chased every day? Today I started calling you at 6:35 in the morning, and that is a regular thing for you. But you still don't lose your calm, you still don't lose your poise. Look at this audience, everybody has come to hear you. How do you deal with being Saurav Ganguly?
I consider myself extremely lucky and privileged to be in this position. I always say that, in whatever profession you are, whether in sport, business, education, whatever profession you are, if you're wanted, if people ask you to do something for them work-wise, professionally, charitably, whichever way they want it to be done, I know it's an extreme privilege, and I really don't find it difficult. Yes, I just have to manage few things, which I do. Like I played last night and I tried telling Boria that can I be excused for this program because the earliest flight was 7 o'clock in the morning. But he said, no, you have to come. So I have to deal with it. I have to deal with it and manage with it. And it's so nice I've come. I see this, your summit getting bigger and bigger every year. I know how much effort and hard work you've put over the years to get where you are, and I wish you all the very best.
Your leadership philosophy, when you started out as a cricketer from Bengal, the challenges, and to become who you did, change Indian cricket, transform Indian cricket. When you look back, do you think you have exceeded your own expectations as a leader, as a captain, as a statesman, as somebody who is considered, one in millions, one in billions? When you look back at your own career?
I never had any expectations. When I first played cricket at the age of 13, my father took me to the ground because the school exams had just finished. I used to study in St. Xavier's and I was a very naughty boy. I used to play football a lot. In those days, there was no cable TV, there was no mobiles, there were no computers. So at that age, it was only sport and education. And to get away from my mother's mathematics and Bengali and history, I had to play the sport so that I can go away and play. So I never had any expectations at that age. I just kept playing. And I say that to everyone, obviously with experience over the years and what I've learned from professional sport, is that when you have too much expectations of too many things, you actually put a burden on yourself. You actually put pressure on yourself. And I just played cricket because I enjoyed playing the game. I loved playing the game, and things happened one after the other. In life, sometimes we make the mistake of looking too far ahead. I think it's important to be in the present. It's important to do your best in the present, because once you're very good at the present, the future is taken care of, and it's never the other way around. So as you asked me the question at the age of 14, 15, I never knew where I would go. I played under 15s. I was happy because I was playing for Bengal. Then I went on to play the under 19s. They selected me for India. I played well for India, and then I got picked for Ranji Trophy, and then things kept falling one after the other. So at that age, when you're young, Boria, you don't look that far. I know your parents keep thinking the world about you, and then I see a few parents here and their children, as they're growing up, you think about their future, you think about the world, because you love them, because you want them to be successful. But, it's important that they do well what they're doing now. And and keep doing it over and over again. You don't get successful over a period of time. You will only be a Tendulkar or a Kohli or a Ganguly or a Dravid after 15, 20, 25 years. So you have to go through that journey of 15 years of being successful, of failing, of understanding how to be successful. Even after trying so much, you still don't succeed. You know, a lot of people will come back and say, "Arey yaar, I've tried so much. I've given all my effort, but I'm still not doing well." But that's what reality is. You know, I remember once Rahul Dravid said, if you watch my career, I have failed about 400 times for India. Out of 700 games I have played for India, or 600 games I have played for India. So that's what the reality is. In life, you'll fail more often than you'll succeed. But when you succeed, you make sure that you do it so well that it works for you. So you will see more tough times than I won't say tough times, more frustrating times. Last night in Delhi, we won the last 3 games. We were the number 1 in the group. We still are the number 1 in the group. And we got 180 yesterday, and we still couldn't defend it. And you feel frustrated from outside because you're such a good team, you're such a good bowling attack, but you realize that, losing the toss in these conditions is not easy because the dew is a huge factor in the night. So it's frustrating. But then you got to wake up next morning and prepare for the knockouts, because you are in the knockouts and you got to put this behind and wake up for the next day. So life's about that. It's about waking up for the future, for the day after, and not looking too far behind.
When you took over, and so tomorrow India plays a Champions Trophy final. It is now almost sort of a habit. India will be in the World Cup final, the Champions Trophy final, the T20 champions. Test match cricket also, when we now travel to Australia, we say we can win. It wasn't the case when you took over as captain. I mean, before that, when I see in the 1990s, we were not that great overseas. Even in white ball cricket, we were not winning consistently, which we now do. That transformation happened under you, whether it is beating Australia, whether it is 2002 Champions Trophy joint winners, whether it is World Cup final in 2003. And you had some incredible athletes in the dressing room who will obviously have superhuman egos. As a leader, how did you bring that transformation, and how did you control, superhuman egos like a Tendulkar, like a Sehwag, like a Lakshman or a Dravid or an Anil? Your leadership philosophy, please.
To be honest, when I first became captain, I did not have any philosophy. I did not know about philosophy. I did what I felt was for the best intention of the team. I don't think 2 individuals will be different. India has had different captains after me. I finished, then Rahul came in, then Anil, then MS, then Virat, and now it's Rohit. So every captain will be different, every leader will be different, and every captain will have its own way of dealing with things. You're talking about the Champions Trophy final tomorrow. I think 2002, which is 22 years ago, we played New Zealand in a Champions Trophy final at Nairobi. In those days, there weren't World Cups every year. The times have changed now. So I remember playing that final. I got 100 in the final against New Zealand.
That was 2000. 2002 is the one you won in Sri Lanka.
2002, yes. No, I think the one before.
Yeah, the Nairobi one, the Chris Cairns innings.
Yes, we beat Australia in the quarterfinals. We beat South Africa in the semifinals, and then went on to play New Zealand in the final. So I think your intent has to be right. It's as a leader what you want to do, what you want to achieve. And I think during our era, it was not the T20 era. We never played T20 cricket at that time. It was Test and one-day cricket, and Test cricket was the pinnacle of everything at that time. So I remember being captain in 2000, and my biggest intention was to earn respect as a team away from home. It's what you want as a captain. We were a champion side in India in subcontinent conditions because we had the best spinners in the world. And sometimes I've said it many a times in my career as captain. I said, when I captained in India, I just gave the ball to Harbhajan and Anil and went and stood at point or square leg or cover, and they did everything for you. The wickets turned. They were outstanding spinners, and we got 20 wickets over a period of 5 days. But the toughest challenge was away. The conditions were different, spin wasn't effective, the seamers had to come into the system to win test matches away, and it's a cultural change which needed. I remember going to the West Indies and dropping Anil Kumble, and I had the most nasty eyes staring at me ever in my life, because he was Anil Kumble, the greatest spinner India has ever produced. And asking him to sit out of a game was very, very hard, because I wanted to play three seamers. The wicket had grass, and I wanted to win the toss and bowl. So it's about the change in culture. It's about the change in culture and mindset, change in the way you look at things. I always say that, I was fortunate that I led some champions. The likes of Sehwag, Tendulkar, Dravid, Lakshman, Anil, Harbhajan, who all went on to play 100 test matches for India. It doesn't happen many a number of times. I don't know whether it's ever happened also, that opener 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 all went on to play 100 test matches for India, which is a phenomenal achievement. So, from that point of view, I've said many a number of times that I was very fortunate that I led people who could actually be my captain at that time, and I led them for a period of 6 years, and I became a good captain because I had them around me. There were such great players, Tendulkar, Dravid, Lakshman. Some of the test matches we won in that generation was unreal. Imagine the Calcutta test match against Australia. We were down and out, asked to follow on the best ever cricket team of this generation, and we came and beat them on day 5. Imagine Adelaide. Australia had 400 on day 1 of the test with Adam Gilchrist and Ricky Ponting and Steve Waugh. And on day 5, India was winning the test match. I remember after tea time on day 5, we won that test. So it's been phenomenal. Headingley. And I still remember that morning in Yorkshire in 2002, I won the toss and I batted. And Ian Botham was doing the pitch report, and he looked at me and said, "Are you serious that you want to bat at Headingley on day 1? I said, "Yeah, I've got no choice because I'm playing 2 spinners." And on day 5, we won by an innings and 150 runs against England. So, leadership, achievements, winning or losing is also about taking the bold decision. It's also about facing pressure head on rather than waiting for it to happen. I could have easily bowled in Headingley, thinking that that's the safest option. But safest options don't win you cricket matches.
I think this is what connects you to Rohit Sharma. He can easily go out there and bat, and run a ball and whatever and get to 100 or whatever. But he's batting with intent and scoring some 40s of 20 balls and getting India off to a flyer. Yes, statistically speaking, we will say he's not getting the big hundreds, but is that intent, is that what you see or want to see in a leader? Thoughts on Rohit Sharma?
Yeah, but it's a fine balance, I think. I think he's a much better player than just scoring 30, 40s in 50-over cricket. He'll still score at a very good strike rate. And if you remember the 100 he got against England at Cuttack, he was brilliant. Yes, as much as quick starts are required because India bat very deep. Ravindra Jadeja bats at number 8 for India. You can imagine how strong and how good the batting unit is. Akshar Patel bats at 5. So he can have that freedom at the top, but I think he's a much better player than that. I was reading Mr. Gavaskar saying day before yesterday that Rohit should not just look at 20, 30s and bat 25, 30 overs and get to a big score rightfully, because if he bats 30 overs, India will beat any team because he plays at that pace. And he's capable of doing that. So as much as the starts are required, I think he also needs to carry on. Look at what Virat did against Pakistan. Pressure game, he got in, he took the game till the end. And I think Rohit Sharma can do that. He can do that.
At the CAB function about a month ago, you had said to me that I'm not worried about Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli in white ball cricket. And exactly that is what has happened. And India once again playing a final tomorrow against New Zealand. A word on Virat Kohli. Again, Pakistan match putting his hand up. Australia match putting his hand up in white ball cricket. Phenomenal.
Is he the best? He's the greatest white ball player. I said that even before they went into the Champions Trophy. He's the greatest white ball player, and I've seen Sachin. No one can compare to Sachin, but Virat Kohli is the greatest white ball player in the world has ever seen, and I wasn't surprised. The way he batted against Pakistan or Australia, and I won't be surprised if he gets another big score tomorrow. So red ball and white ball is different. As I said, he's a phenomenal white ball player. What has surprised me is his form in red ball over the last 4-5 years. Player of his stature, player of his ability, I think he can do much better than what he has done. And once this series finishes, once whatever happens tomorrow, he must put on his thinking cap because they have 5 tests against England. And that's going to be another hard series like the way it was in Australia. It's going to seam, it's going to swing, and England are a good side at home. So India need him to perform with the in the red ball, but white ball, he's the greatest ever.
Ravichandran Ashwin was in a session just before you, and he said he's kind of feeling nerves with New Zealand. The team has great balance. India versus New Zealand. Yes, India obviously, superpower of world cricket now, but he's feeling some nerves. Deep Dasgupta was also on the panel, said the same. How do you set up this final, Saurav? India versus New Zealand Champions Trophy. New Zealand has great balance, but are India, favourites? And what does this mean for Rohit Sharma? Australia, he lost. New Zealand series at home. Yes, in Test cricket, he lost. How much will this mean for Rohit Sharma, the captain?
New Zealand is always a very good team. There's no doubt about it. They have good spinners. You saw when they came to India for the Test, they won 3-0. Beating India 3-0 in India, it has never happened in the history. And I don't think it will happen again. So you can imagine how good they are. How good they are in these conditions, because they have spinners who can get wickets. And I think of all the teams India has played to get to here, whether it's Pakistan and Australia, I think New Zealand will be the toughest opposition. India beat them in the group stage, but group stage and finals are two different kettle of fish. But having said that, I still feel India is a much stronger side. India's batting is much stronger than any team in this competition. And you've seen that in the 3 games India played. Somebody has stood up and won it for them. So it won't be easy for New Zealand. For me, India is favourites. But obviously favourites mean nothing. It's how you play on that day. I remember in 2001, we beat, as I said, Australia in the quarters, South Africa in the semis, and nobody expected New Zealand to beat us in the final. So finals are finals, but I'm still backing India. Because India has the team, India has got the spinners to bowl in those conditions. 4 spinners in Akshar, Jadeja, and most importantly Varun, who's a new element in that bowling lineup, and Kuldeep. That's a serious spin attack, and then the batting. Batting goes down till 8. So they're a very, very strong side.
Yeah, and word on Rohit and what this will mean to him as captain the Champions Trophy, because back-to-back ICC tournament wins if he does that.
Yeah, every world title is a phenomenal achievement, and he's fortunate that he's captained India in 3 World Cups in 15 months. Times have changed. It never used to be the same before. In 23 in October, it was in India, 24 July, it was in the West Indies, and now 25, this is February, March, it's in Pakistan and Dubai. So in 15 months, he's had the opportunity to captain 3 World Cups. And the quality of side India it's very rare that they will lag behind in 3 of them. What has stood out for me is the number of games they've won in these 3 World Cups. They've lost only the final. 1 final in 3 World Cups is a phenomenal achievement. You played in India, then you went away in the West Indies. And now you're in Dubai. So you can say that the conditions suited the spinners, whether it's India or the Caribbean or Dubai, but you still have to execute and still have to win.
Where do you stand on this debate? I mean, the English cricketers saying India has an unfair advantage, some experts saying India has an unfair advantage. Ashwin dismissed it, saying this is a non-starter, this is a bogus debate. Where does Sourav Ganguly stand? Do we have an unfair advantage in Dubai?
Yeah, but what's the choice? I don't think India has agreed to play all their matches in Dubai on their will. It's because they can't go to Pakistan. It's because the government of India doesn't allow them to go to Pakistan. So it's not in India's hands. That's the way it is. And I remember I was BCCI president in 2020, and we allotted the Champions Trophy to Pakistan. And I was a part of the team that allocated all the World Cups till 2031. India will have the 2026 World Cup and the 2029 Champions Trophy and the 2031 World Cup again. So it's not something which India has done. It's just that you can't go to Pakistan. And I can tell you, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, Shreyas Iyer will be feeling sad they can't get to bat on those pitches in Lahore and Karachi, where oppositions are scoring 350. Australia scored 350, England scored 350, Australia chased it. New Zealand scored 360. And you look at the scores in Dubai, 240, 250. So, Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma and Shreyas Iyer and Shubman Gill will be thinking, why don't we get those wickets in Dubai? And I get 3 or 4 hundreds, get 3. And so actually India is missing out on flat pitches away from Pakistan. I have been to Pakistan I've been to Pakistan 3 times. For the first time, we won Test and One Days in 2004. India never won in Pakistan before that. 5 Test matches, I remember in the 5 One Days. I remember the first game in Lahore, we got 360. And Pakistan had won the game. Old Inzamam ul Haq was just hitting sixes like breakfast. And in the last over, I don't know if many of you remember those Javed Miadad visuals where as a captain I was looking at him and not at Moin Khan because he was instructing Moin Khan to hit from the dressing room. And 8 runs they needed in the last over and we won. So wickets in Pakistan are the flattest in the world. And I must say that India is missing out. India won in India where they went around the 9 cities. They went to West Indies where they went around 8 cities to win the T20 World Cup. So I don't think it's got anything to do with India staying in Dubai. It's just that what it is. England don't go to Zimbabwe. I remember in 2003 World Cup when I was captain, during the World Cup, India had Zimbabwe in their group and England had Zimbabwe in their group and they conceded points to Zimbabwe because they wouldn't go to Zimbabwe. Yeah, so every country has their own way of doing things and I don't think it's any fault of the Indian cricket team or the board that they haven't gone to Pakistan.
So he's completely flipped the debate on his head. That India is actually missing out by not going to Pakistan. You would have seen 350 plus scores every time India would have batted in those conditions in Pakistan. Saurav Ganguly for you, ladies and gentlemen. Completely flipped the debate on its head. Last few minutes. When I see this Indian team, the consistency that you spoke about, 1 defeat in 2 years in white ball cricket, in Champions Trophy and World Cups and all of this. Am I right in saying that we in India, we are the greatest or rather the biggest superpower in white ball cricket at the moment, and are we the best and most consistent team?
We are a very good team. I wouldn't say we are the greatest, best superpower. I don't think that way. At the moment, they are playing well. Last 15 months, they have been phenomenal. I think leadership is very important. I've always said Rohit Sharma is a fabulous captain. And
can you explain this a little bit more? Why are you saying Rohit Sharma is a fabulous captain?
Because that's what I see. That's what I see and that's what I notice when he's captaining India. I've seen him captain Mumbai Indians. So I think he's a fantastic captain. I have captained India for so many matches, so I can see the traits in a captain. So I'm not surprised that he's taken the team to greater heights in the white ball. But I don't know whether he's going to continue playing Test cricket. And if he's hearing me on this, I think he should take the responsibility of turning things around with the red ball. And I think India are not good at the red ball at the moment. And they need to look at it. They need to find a way how well they play in England because that's going to be a very important 5 Test
You've
series.
just given me a headline, India not good in red ball, Rohit Sharma should take responsibility of turning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He has to find a way to get this team going in the red ball in Test cricket. So in one-day cricket, they're unbeatable. They're a fabulous side. My fingers crossed, I'm backing them tomorrow to win in the future as well. When you look at Indian cricket in the white ball, you can have 2 teams. You can have 2 teams who will beat any team in the world at the moment. You see the T20 side. There's no Rohit Sharma, there's no Virat Kohli, there is no Shreyas Iyer, there is no KL Rahul, there is no Shubman Gill, and they still hammer everyone. They went to South Africa, won all the games. England came here, they hammered England. So there are actually 30 players who can actually wear the Indian shirt in the white ball and win games for India. But whether it's the same in red ball cricket, I'm not sure yet. And I think that culture needs to come back.
My last 5 minutes actually was on the red ball. How do we change this? Because in Australia, after a point, winning the first test, series progressed, India went downhill. We will play white ball and then we will play the IPL for 2 months. After that, we go to England and 5 test matches. How does a Virat Kohli rectify his issue? How does a Rohit Sharma get things changed again? Jasprit Bumrah, we heard that may not be available for the first part of IPL. So Jasprit Bumrah and this whole workload. Can we transform our red ball fortunes in England? Is that possible for you? And if there is, what is the formula?
Absolutely, it's possible. You have to bat well. You look at the times India played the best away from home. It's when they put 400, 500 runs on the board. You speak about our generation where we won in England. We were 1-all in Australia against the best ever cricket team in the world. We went to Pakistan and won in Pakistan only because we were scoring 600 runs. You know, those 3 test matches in Pakistan against that attack, in Multan we got 600, in Lahore we got 400, and in the final test in Pindi we got 700. And now going to Australia, 500 in Brisbane, 500 in Adelaide, 700 in Sydney. So you have to get runs on the board to win test matches. You don't win test matches by scoring 200, 250, 180. The reason they won in Perth because they got 400 on the board, where Yashasvi Jaiswal got a fantastic 100 in the second innings. So India will have to bat well. The likes of Rohit, Virat, Yashasvi, who I think is the best test batsman at the moment for India, they'll have to bat well. Pant, he's got to bite the bullet and play the ball, seaming ball, swinging ball. Now you can't keep swinging all the time and expect to score runs in test cricket. So it's a mentality, it's the determination and the grit. They have the talent. You know, Virat Kohli, the best in the business. I don't see him failing 5 test matches in England. You know, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Rishabh Pant, KL Rahul, Shubman Gill, who needs to take his test cricket batting much higher. You know, my only worry when I see them play test cricket is, you know, other than Virat and Yashasvi, not many of them average more than 40 away from home. And the likes of Rahul, Shubman, Pant, and whoever comes in will have to look at that. You know, if you want to be a good test team, 3 or 4 of your top 6 batters must be averaging close to 15 test matches.
How many brands do you now endorse?
I don't know.
No, seriously. I mean, Tanya is there, right?
I don't know.
40 plus brands after 16 years of retirement. I don't think I know any other sports person in the world, 40 plus brands, 16 years after retirement. One time during Pujo, last Durga Pujo, my wife and I, we started walking from our house to the next major crossing, and I've told this story to him. There were 271 hoardings. 191 either had a Mamata Banerjee photo or a Saurav Ganguly photo. Honestly. And you know why Saurav Ganguly is unbeatable? And he looked at me, I thought I've got him. And he said, what about the other 80? Those also should have had ours. But on a serious note, International Women's Day, you know what has given me tremendous joy? I've spoken to a number of the cricketers from the Delhi Capitals. Trisha also told me this, that you working closely with a Marizan Cap or a Shefali Verma has done incredible work for the Delhi Capitals team. And you working with these girls for women's cricket will take that sport forward. A word on that. Working hands-on with the Delhi Capitals women's team.
I think this is the first time I've done that, and I've enjoyed it actually. And I need to speak to Parth that I hope he doesn't ask me to do it over and over again.
Why? We should. I will tell him to make sure that you please keep doing. So, Indian women's cricket will go forward.
But I think women's cricket has gone a long way from what I've seen. You know, when I first became president in 2019, women's cricket was not very seriously looked at. And this is 2025, 6 years later, when I see a Shefali Verma, when I see a Smriti Mandana, when I see a Harmanpreet Singh, or when I see a Renuka Thakur or some of these, or our own Richa Ghosh, you really feel happy because the work that has been put in has really been reflected. The WPL, the Women's Premier League, will be a huge stepping stone for them to be even better. You know, I couldn't believe that 3 years ago, the Indian women's team went to England and beat them 3-0. I remember that night when they won all the 3 games and won the series 3-0. You know, working with Meg Lanning. Can you imagine she's won 6 World Cups for Australia?
Yes.
She's just 30 years old and she has won 6 World Cups for Australia.
Even yesterday, 92.
She got 92 yesterday. There's some phenomenal talent in the WPL. The Australians are still very, very strong. When you look at Meg Lanning, when you look at Ashley Gardner, Beth Mooney, then there was Litchfield yesterday, and some of the other players. So the Australians are very, very strong and very good at the moment, but the Indians are not too far behind. You know, you look at Shefali Verma. I sit in the dugout and she hits 6s at will. She's just a 20-year-old girl. You know, she steps out and hits them into the stands at will.
Trust me, if Saurav Ganguly works with Shefali Verma, I think that can be the best thing possible for Indian women's cricket.
I want to work with I want to work with Kale Rahul. I want to work with.
You work with all.
I want to work with Mitchell
Couple-
Stark. I
couple-
want to
couple-
work with.
a couple
I
of
want to work
endorsements
with
less.
Jake Fraser McGurk. Don't just keep me to Meg
No,
Lanning
I'm
and
not
Chef
saying
Ali
only.
Verma.
I'm saying also. A couple of days less on endorsements, you've made hundreds of crores, you don't need the money anymore. So the women's team will get better and better. But I'll close out with a very personal one. Saurav Ganguly's, and my daughter's here. My daughter's here. And this is one bond, and today is International Women's Day. Saurav Ganguly on Sana Ganguly, tell me. Because you and I have spoken about this multiple times, and each time I see a glint in your eye. Your daughter and you, that bond, share with us. The bond that you rush to London for, the bond that keeps you going. I know it is a very special bond for any father and any daughter. But today on International Women's Day, tell us something.
It's a great bond as long as I get hold of her. But I don't get hold of her. I call her 15 times a day, and then at 12:35 in the night when I'm sleeping, I get a message, I'll call you back tomorrow because I had a busy day in office. I said, even the Ratan Tatas and the Ambanis and the Jindals, if you call 17 times a day during office, they'll still have 5 minutes to pick up the phone and say, either I'll call you back or I'll speak to you. But my daughter doesn't have the time.
So you know what?
So after a month, I said, it's not that you don't have the time, it's just that you don't want to pick dad's call. So that's what it is. So that's why I have to go to London to see her. Not that she's very happy that me and Donna go to meet her. Every time I tell Donna, I tell her that mom's coming for 3 weeks, 4 weeks to spend time. She said, why? You are alone in Calcutta. I said, no, you are alone in London. I'm okay in Calcutta because I have my mom here. You are with nobody. So that's what kids are. She's 23 and she doesn't want anybody around. But the good thing is I've seen a lot of change in her when in the last 2 years when she's been away from home and she's understood the world. She understood what money is because she comes and tells me, hey, don't buy this because it's very expensive. I said, why? He said, because I don't get so much salary. I said, yeah, that's the reality of the world. So you must understand and learn and find a way to grow up properly in life. So they are the best thing in the world. Your little girl is here. One advice, never send them away. Because if you send them away, they never come back. So just an advice, there are enough good schools in Calcutta. There are enough good universities in Bengal, Presidency, Calcutta, Jadavpur, St. Xavier's. They give the same education as UCL and Oxford and Cambridge. So keep them here, keep them next to you. Don't send them away because if they go, they never come back.
But I'll close out on this note. Please sit. I'll close out on this note. There are many of my friends from the media, Srinjoy, Orinjoy, Rajoshi there.
The best thing I like about Orinjoy, 5 months ago I met him in Trafalgar Square.
Yeah,
His father had sent him for a year course and I saw him in Trafalgar Square with a friend walking around. I caught him from the back. I said, hey, what are you doing here? He said, no, I've got a day off in college and I'm here. I said, what's the plan? He says, I want to go back to Calcutta.
And he said to me...
He said, I want to go back to Calcutta. And I was so happy. So I went home and told Sana that I met Orinjoy and he's elder to Sana. And I said, the first thing he said, I want to go back to Calcutta. So I said, you should also start saying the same thing that I want to go back to Calcutta.
And I met Orinjoy a couple of days after he comes back to Calcutta and I said, Tor hoye gache? As in, you're done. And he said, 1 year is too much. It's done, finished, khatam. I'm back and back for good. But the point was not that. Saurav said he calls Sana 17 times and she doesn't pick up and middle of the night gets a message. All of my media friends here and Srinjoy and Orinjoy will attest. They have been through this with Saurav, so he's getting his own medicine back. But sorry, no, he's not like that. But with me, I've got to put this on record. Every time, for whatever. Whether it is for Rev Sports, whether it is for me personally, he's one request away. One request away. Whether it is in his house where I go and have my fish fries and all that, whether it is to this conclave, he and his team. I'll single out Tanya because she's the one I keep badgering. Saurav Ganguly, ladies and gentlemen, has always been with me. And that is
I have an
greatest
answer to this of Boreas. When you say media and certain people call me 17 times, 18 times, I see how India has played. If Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma is not scoring runs, I don't pick the media call because I know what the question is going to be. And I'll tell you the question. Why is he not scoring runs? Why is he getting out on outside the off stump? Should they retire? Should India get a new batsman in place of Kohli and Rohit Sharma? How can I keep answering that all the time? So moment Rohit and Virat gets 100, I pick the phone. How well has he played? I said, no, his cover drive was superb. His cut was superb. His flick was superb.
Unbelievable. Okay,
Can you
brilliant.
imagine? Tomorrow India wins the World Cup. To all the journalists here, Monday morning till from 10 to 5, I'm available because all the good questions will come. And if India lose the World Cup tomorrow, I'm not available on Monday. So please make sure of that because the questions will be, is it the end of Rohit? Is it the end of Virat? Is it the end of Akshar? Should X bat at 4? Should Y bat at 6? I said, boss, don't ask me those questions all the time because neither I am answerable, neither I am selector, and neither I want to get up in the morning and see Ganguly wants Kohli and Sharma to retire. I don't want that, boss. So call me if India wins and I'll give you all my time.
Two-part felicitation. The first one, we've already given the copies of the book to the media. May I please have Deeptangshu Mondal on stage? May I please have Srinjoy Bose on stage? May I please have Sagar Daryani on stage? 3 of them. This is a book of my writings in Bangla. Srinjoy, please, can I have you on stage? Book of my writings in Bangla and a lot of articles. Deep Dasgupta koi? Achen Deep? Deep ke ami dekhte pachchilam na, tai jonno ami bolchilam na. Deep লুকিয়ে গেল কোথায়? এই তো Deep, sorry. And quite a few, আগে ওঠে না, পরে, চলো. This is a book. Rubina is also here. Okay, I'll please, Rubina, come on stage. Rubina Francis, Paralympic medalist, also on stage. This is a book of my writings in Bangla, and a lot of this is on Saurav Ganguly. Deep, tumi diye dao. So that's part 1, and part 2 is awaiting you, ladies and gentlemen. Page number 77, exactly what we discussed today. Saurav Ganguly's problem is being Saurav Ganguly. Oranjoy tells me that's one of the best Bangla essays I have ever written. So that's the collection that we wanted to launch. Lot of the articles inside are on Saurav Ganguly. My association, and যখনই ওর বাড়ি যাই ওর ফোন আসতে থাকে আমি উল্টো করে ফোনটা রেখে দিই যাতে he can't take calls when we are doing interviews. But that's the book that we wanted to launch today. That's part 1. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Saurav. You stay on, and that's the next part. I'm very, very privileged. Deep and Saurav together. Deep কিছু একটা আমাকে ওখানে স্লেজ করছে. Anyway, photo, Chobi? Okay, please come. Saurav, Rubina is a Paralympic medalist. We'll celebrate that, a photograph together, please, and then I'll move to the next part. Yes, please. Deep দাঁড়াও. Deep, please দাঁড়াও. একসাথে 3 জন. Done? Okay. Now to the next part. I'm very, very proud of the show that I do backstage with Boria. That sort of gave Rev Sports its identity from day one. And the one company that backed the show from day one. And by the way, this is memorable. Because the first interview that we recorded in Calcutta as part of Backstage with Boria was with Saurav Ganguly. Gives me great pleasure to call Jude Gomes, the head of AGS Federal Life Insurance, and my partners for this particular show to honor Saurav Ganguly. Shudu eta na. Chalo. As part of Backstage with Boria, there you go, Jude Gomes and Saurav Ganguly, ladies and gentlemen. Is Shormishta around for a final photo op, or is she there in the luncheon area? If Shormishta is around, can we have her please once on stage for a photo op? If she's not, Vinod, if you can call her, if I think she's outside, then we'll close this session. But as I said, this has been an outstanding session. The kind of audience applause and everything that we've got. Ladies and gentlemen, for who he is, for what he does, for what he has made Indian cricket now, for all the time that he has for us in the media, for all the friends that he has, all of the jokes aside, the transformation that he has been able to do to our sport, the contributions that he has made every day, day in, day out, and in Bengal we are starved of brands. We need someone to fall back on. We need someone to fall back on. And a final photo op and a standing round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Saurav Ganguly, as I call Shormishta on stage, the favorite, the master, and for us in Bengal, No one better. For me as a friend, absolute privilege. This is one photograph I will treasure. Lunch, ladies and gentlemen, is served. Everybody who is accredited. Esho. Esho. Esho tumi, Pritha. The Tata Steel team, Ekta Chobi. Second. With the Tata Steel team, Ekta Chobi. And then for lunch, people who have accreditation, it's the other side. हाँ जाओ चलिए जानिए जा for मार बो क्या बोले